Wonder if we could let that song play a little bit longer to just kind of drag this thing out. Good morning, guys. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Happy to be here with you. Allegedly. It is Tuesday. Today's August 1st. The month of July is officially done, and we are here. What is happening in the studio right now?
Paul's camera really likes my face.
Going to Ben's face.
Oh, really?
Cardboard cutouts behind me rather than his own face.
Okay.
It's just enamored with me.
Well, that was Fat Ben.
Yeah.
This is Skinny Ben.
Totally different person.
Totally different person.
Yeah.
Much bigger target.
I didn't mean to say fat. That was huskier Ben.
Right.
You're not husky-ish anymore. We'll get to that. I'm Woodsy. To my right is Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Also handles our YouTube stream, as you can tell. You can go to youtube.com, search Ben and Woods. Find us there if you want to watch us do this. I don't know why you would, but you could and you can. We really appreciate all of you who consume us in multiple and different ways. Is that my...
Yeah, four in a row. It finally happened.
Fantastic.
Woodsy has forgotten to turn down his computer volume for the fourth straight show.
I didn't know if we'd ever get to 4 in a row.
Yeah, we finally did. We kept getting to 3, and then Woods would remember to turn his computer down, but then this time he finally forgot for a 4th straight time, and it happened.
It happened. Yeah,
Good job.
4. Thank you. Thank you very much. To my left is Benjamin Higgins, Secretary of Homeland Exploration. And, I alluded to your weight loss. Basically, I wanted to do it first before you did it because I knew it was coming. So how are you?
I'm good.
Are you?
I'm triple espresso good this morning because...
You did not stay up to watch that game.
I did.
What? Why?
I did.
Where? Where did you go? You didn't go to the bar, did you?
No, I was in bed watching it at home.
Why didn't you go to sleep?
I did doze off a little bit in the second half, but
what time are we talking here?
It was like 1:40.
So,
I got to question your commitment to this radio program. If you're staying
I feel like
up,
it's the other way around. I am the one who's committed to actually watching big things that are happening in sports.
Let me fill you guys in on what happened. 0-0. They played keep away for several hours, and it ended up 0-0. Done.
That's true.
All you had to do was wake up and go, what's the score? Oh, yeah. 0-0. Shocking.
that's what I did.
I'm shocked. It's exactly what I
Yeah,
did.
but you couldn't talk about, say, the shot off the post by Portugal in stoppage
sure I can.
time.
Sure I can.
Could have
They
knocked
didn't go
the
in.
United
Didn't go
States
in.
out of the World
Yeah.
Cup.
Could have, but
That close. This close to being knocked out of the World Cup last
could
night.
have, but it didn't. And again, 0-0. 0. How many goals did they score last night? 0.0. How many goals did the other team score? 0.0.
Well, it was the
0.0.
unexpected doubleheader of Padres baseball leading right into the midnight soccer
Hey,
game.
Woods, what was the score of the soccer match?
0-0.
Paul, what were Dan Cilio's ratings when he was here on the station?
0.0.
I mean, don't you get some ratings for just signing your name at all?
0.0.
Like, was the station, did they not hit the power button for a year?
Oh, his mic was off.
Oh, his mic was off. It doesn't pick it up. Okay. Well, listen. So there you go. 0-0. It's been covered.
I think part of it was I was a little agitated from the Padres game, made it hard to get right to sleep at the end of the game last night. So I let myself watch the entire first half downstairs. Then I went upstairs to bed and watched most of the second half before finally crashing last night and then waking up to 0-0 for the United States.
I did again. I mentioned Skinny Ben, and it begs the question. It does beg the question. As somebody at 48 years old, who's I've had. What the hell is that? You hear that?
Yeah, it happens sometimes, but I don't think anyone else can. So just
Really? Okay.
Let it go.
Static in your
Like
headphones.
some-
let it, you're like a cat with a ball
I
of yarn.
really am. Well, I've got a beep, 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 beep in my ear. It's like the aliens.
I know.
Oh, it's one of Ben's mothership
The
is landing.
transmission.
Yeah, the transmission is shutting down from this alien to my left. I wonder. I saw a guy yesterday pulled up next to a guy at the light yesterday, and he was in as bright of a yellow Corvette as you could see. He was tan.
Oh, I can picture him.
Convertible.
I know exactly what this guy looks
He
like.
had his left hand up on the steering wheel, and he had no wedding ring glistening in the sun, and he sitting back had some kind of outdated shades on, and he looked like the happiest man alive.
He had some old Maui gyms
or something. And I looked at that guy and I didn't judge him. I said, good for you. Whatever you're going through that got you in that whip, you know, and got you to hit the tanning salon. Good for you. But I ask you, what does because I've had several midlife crises at 48. I think I've had my fill of midlife crises. What does your midlife crisis look like? You just quit watching Aztecs games
I
or
was
something?
thinking about that last night because, and this was more professional than personal, but as the Padres game wrapped up, I thought to myself, well, you have what you've always wanted. You are sports director at long time at a local television station. You dreamed about doing that when you were a kid. Your morning show, talk show, radio host. You grew up listening to talk radio. You interned at a talk radio station. Never even thought you could hang with the big boys. And yet now here you are, successful show, tier 1 army of listeners. Everything is going just as you dreamed in life. And yet every single day, it's like the nightmare of watching the Padres find a way to frustratingly lose and then have to talk about that the next day. And it's like, is this really what I signed up for when this all started? This can't be what I was dreaming about when I was a youth growing up. Did I make the wrong call getting into this business? Because there's only so much of this we can all take. This season is driving us all, over the edge of the cliff, right? I mean,
how over the cliff could you get? That's what I want to know. What does over the cliff?
I'm not sure. I'm not buying a sports car. There's no chance.
Too cheap to buy a sports
car.
Too
cheap.
Yeah.
And
they're dangerous.
I don't like going fast.
He doesn't like it be wasted on you. I'm going to get
impractical.
I'm going to get a Camry.
What's the most practical way to have your midlife crisis? That's what I'm looking for.
Ben gets a Camry, but it's red. That's your midlife crisis. A red Camry with leather interior.
A
Volvo. Yes. And what else?
Volvos are very nice.
They are.
Very nice
my first
vehicle.
car was 85 Volvo, the Silver Bullet. It's fantastic. Had a lot of good times in that car.
So I'm looking for a very practical way to have my midlife crisis.
Diesel says Ben is second guessing his life decisions because of this team.
A little bit. Yeah, exactly.
I'm doing better with it. I really am. I'm doing better with it. I always like to do this, and maybe this will help somebody. I like to play it forward in my head and say, well, yeah, it sucks. It's tough. These are excruciating losses. Ben has actually compiled a list of the most excruciating losses of 2023.
I would call it a public service, but what's the opposite of that?
Yeah, a public disservice.
Disservice.
A private disservice is the
to everyone in San Diego. I have made the list of only games that I felt reached the level of excruciating.
Okay, so Ben's got that list. The ones that are like laying down in the dentist chair and just getting just getting a cavity filled.
Not your run of the mill.
Right, just a 7-1 loss.
Not even every extra inning loss of the 10 made the list.
Yeah, because you're going to lose an extra inning sometimes.
I wanted to be fairly stringent on my standards. I didn't want to just accept anything as an agonizing loss. But when I went back through every game on the Padres schedule so far this year, I felt like I honestly came up with 18 excruciating losses for the Padres this season.
Well, what I've done lately is I've played the tape forward. And for me, a life with underwhelming at times, a life with excruciating at times, a life with all of that baseball is still better than life without it. For me, personally. Games on today, I'll be right there. I'm not trying to polish a turd here. There will be no turd polishing on this team. There will be no, well, at least they showed some fight. There will be none of that. None of that. Not from me anyway. I cannot justify losing to Austin Gomber and his 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Conditions of the field be damned. They had to play on him too. They found a way to win. We didn't. They had 5 guys in that lineup. I'd never heard their name before. Never. I was like, Ihurio, who? Like, I'm looking at Ishirio. Who are these guys? So, but for me, when baseball season's over, I go into a deep, dark despair. I really do. And when the last out of the World Series is made, I have to turn my attention to football, which is a sport I really like a lot. I really like college football. I love watching the Irish on Saturdays. I love watching the big games. Sundays, I got a fantasy team this year for the first time. I'm excited for the first time in a while. I'm excited about it. I love watching the Bengals with Bobo. That being said, it's not even close to the same. That is cafeteria pizza compared to New York style pizza, which is baseball season for me. It's just not even close. And so as much as I lament this team, as hard as it is to watch sometimes, I've been making this point and hammering it home. This is not a boring baseball team to watch. They are not a boring baseball team. It's hard to be apathetic about this team, and I know they're playing with our emotions, but you watch games like that was an exciting baseball game. It did not end up the way we wanted it to end up, but man, I'd rather have it than not. That's just how I feel, and that mentality's been helping me deal with these losses a little bit better. But I'm still pissed.
I know, I agree with you. I'm not looking forward to the offseason. The reason why these losses hurt so much is they always feel like they're getting us one, inch closer to the point where we can't have hope for this season anymore. And I'm not looking forward to that. We'll find out in the next 8 hours and 47 minutes whether or not the Padres are still in this thing anymore, at least by their general manager's reckoning, by what AJ Preller does or does not do in the next few hours at the trade deadline, because so far he has waited until the last minute to get every piece of information on this team. They gave him a 3-game winning streak, a sweep of the Rangers, but then they reminded him last night of why selling pieces might still be the wiser course of action at the trade deadline. I've seen Padres fans the last 24 hours making the argument both ways, why it would be still smarter to buy or smarter to sell here at the trade deadline. And while everything we're hearing is that the Padres remain more active on the buying front, the reality is they haven't done anything, and anything can still happen in the next few hours. And if the Padres do trade away Josh Hader and maybe even Blake Snell, we will know, hey, honestly, we're looking forward to 2024 at this point. And I know the players won't say that. They'll say, hey, we're going to go out there and see if we can still win this thing. But, the reality will be that they will be raising the white flag on what was the most promising baseball season we've ever seen here in San Diego. And I can't tell you they're not going to do that in the next 8 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'd stay right here by the dial. We were obviously live for the Juan Soto deal last year. I don't get the sense that anything like that is bubbling up at all. Could be wrong, have been wrong many, many times. Was wrong about Matt Batten yesterday. I need to start talking crap about players more. They always prove me wrong. Nice night for Matt Batten last night. Really the only one that really did much. Yeah, man. And again, we can hash out some of the things that happened last night. But for me, man, like I cannot come in here and commend them on their fight for last night. Sure, exciting moment by Trent Grisham there in the ninth, but should have never been in that position. Should have never been in that position off of that guy that started for the Colorado Rockies. And we can argue about whether they should have played that game at all. Got to talk about Matt Williams. There's a lot to talk about today.
Certainly is.
I mean, the diaper just gets filled with this team as when they're on the cusp of getting to a fourth win. No one's asking for the moon here. Hey, you rip off 12 wins in a row. 4, 1, 2, 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's it. That is it. And so, yeah, man, it's going to be hard to commend this team on any fighting or battling or scooping or anything else they did last night. We'll talk about all of it and then some, I'm sure.
It was a late night for Jesse Agler in Denver, but he's scheduled to join us at 8:35 this morning to talk about the team on the last hours before the trade deadline. We'll play the Incorporator as well. As always, all guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Daily Ditty is next. The theme this week are songs we know that will annoy Woods or that Woods will hate. But today is a Woods selection, so he's kind of having to reach outside of his comfort zone.
Oh, I'm very comfortable.
To pick a song that he knows is good, but still gets under his skin.
I know it's good, and I know a lot of people love it, but when I hear
love this.
when I hear it, makes me a tinge homicidal.
Also have the overnight trade rumors around baseball for you coming up. It's Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us. Paul Reindl, Stephen Woods, Ben Higgins on San Diego's #1 sports station. We've got Kelly Danick. She checks the traffic. We'll be back after this on 97.3 The Fan.
Ugh. Oh my God. Same.
Walking in
Memphis. Feel the way. Yeah. People.
WC Handy.
What is a WC Handy? I'd like one of those. Water closet handy?
I
Done
am
that, actually.
I'm a little surprised here at
Why
your
is that?
selection.
Because you love it.
No, I mean, it's supposed to be songs that I'm not surprised that this annoys you a little bit. I can see why it's not one of your personal favorites. I'm surprised that you're even acknowledging that you think maybe somewhere it's a good song. You're so stuck in the mud about such things.
I am.
Anyone with doo-doo voice, it can never be good music. You're just so you're so opinionated about songs like this that they just aren't good.
No,
I find it surprising that you would.
I acknowledge that it's a good song.
It's a good song.
Yes, of course I do. And also, it's a song that's beloved. If you've ever been to a karaoke bar, it's got to be. I don't know. There's probably a list we can pull. The morning show prep service probably has done this bit before. Top 10 most karaoke songs. It's got to be up there. Mr. Brightside, that song. Mr. Brightside's great. But that song I feel like is a big karaoke standard. And it makes me insane. And I realize, again, it's nice, pretty piano. The lyrics are deep and heartfelt. And, but it just makes me a little nuts.
I'm very curious to see where Paulie's going to go with this tomorrow on our theme of songs that annoy Woods, but he recognizes are probably good songs, actually. And it's just him that doesn't really like them.
It is. I am very opinionated about music. It's sacred to me, very sacred, much like baseball is, very sacred to me.
So as we approach the trade deadline here, we'll get into last night's game in just a second in our Padres wrap-up. But as we approach the trade deadline, the Padres didn't do anything yesterday, and a couple of pieces that they might have been interested in, like Jeimer Candelario from the Nationals, a switch-hitting bat, could have filled one of those needs, went off the board yesterday. The Cubs picked him up. The D-backs added a bullpen piece in acquiring closer Paul Sewald from the Mariners. Giants traded for A.J. Pollock and
very unlikable A.J. Pollock.
I mean, neither of them having really good seasons. They didn't give up anything. That was just kind of a nothing move.
They called it they said, we feel A.J. is a guy that very much benefits from the, quote, change of scenery. So A.J. Pollock, he will most certainly do some damage against us when we
low-risk gamble. One move I liked was the Brewers adding Mark Canha.
You really love Mark Canha.
I do kind of like Mark Canha. Probably mostly because he was one of the first mic'd up segments I saw this year, and I just enjoyed his personality in that segment earlier this year. And he's kind of an under the radar, decent player. The Brewers made a couple of moves. Obviously, they got Carlos Santana from the Pirates as well. So going the opposite of last year when they cut their fan base's heart out by trading away Josh Hader in the middle of contending for a playoff spot. This time they add a couple of pieces. And then the Rays traded for Aaron Savali from the Guardians.
What a move.
Well,
I think it benefits both. I think that's one of those.
Why do you think it benefits the Guardians? They were a half game out when they made the trade. They're one game out of first place.
Well, if I know anything about Cleveland, those guys are pitching factory. I mean, they just one after the other, after the other, after the other. They have a hard time scoring runs. This Manzardo kid, it seems to be the real deal. By everything I saw, I'd never heard of him till yesterday. I started looking at him and I went, "Oh my God, guy's an offensive juggernaut potentially." I mean, again, it's potential. You're trading for potential, but he looks to be the real deal. Savale, you feel like Cleveland's probably got 3 or 4 Savales ready to go to slide right into his spot. That's something they've been very good at doing.
So does that make you feel like there is still a path for a team that wants to win this year, but could still be a seller at the deadline? Because that's something we could be facing with the Padres in the next few hours. Could they sell a pitcher like Josh Hader going, I don't know how valuable he is to us over the next couple of months, whereas we can get a really good return on something we might need soon. But still, let's go for it. Let's try and come back in this wild card race and see what we can do over the next couple of months.
I mean, I think anything's possible. Obviously, it's a very tired answer, but one thing I will say about this, and I wholeheartedly disagreed with you yesterday on the stand pat type situation, because here's the deal, Benny. If you don't, do we all agree on this? If you keep Blake Snell and Josh Hader, you are in fact going for it. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. If you are in fact going for it, then you need to go for it. Don't standing pat isn't going for it, and it's not selling. That's doing nothing. That's we're apathetic at the trade deadline. We're not doing anything. We're not adding, we're not subtracting, we're just standing pat. You have to kind of make a decision, I think. I think there is a path to trading, a Josh Hader and getting a young pitching prospect back and another. I don't know what it's going to fetch. I've heard the asking price is very high, as it should be. But if you keep them both, then you now have to do something. And guys are coming off the board, guys that could potentially help you. I have not heard one word, not one leak, not one DM about any potential rumors. I got no reason to tweet the eyeball emoji. I have not heard one single word about anything potential that's cooking up. I've been racking my brain. I've been looking around at other teams thinking, will they go after, could they go after somebody on the Yankees like Harrison Bader or something? I mean, what could they potentially do?
I mean, the Yankees are thought to potentially be sellers after another loss. They're in last place yesterday, yet like the Mariners, who sold as well, they're both closer to a playoff spot than the Padres are at this moment.
I think it's a general, they're both in the AL, the Guardians and the Yankees. The NL is a different beast. As we know, it's just a different beast. That I think you look at the teams above you and go, none of these teams are super duper solid. Like, they all have the potential to be very mercurial. They really do. And you can see any of those teams been losing 4 or 5 in a row because it's happened.
And like it or not, and we'll get to this coming up, and I saw Sam Levitt's tweet yesterday that kind of blew my mind. Padres finished July with the best record in the National League.
Bananas, right?
And while you have to look at the whole forest, you can't just look at one
game,
you can't
one
look
tree.
at 1 week or 1 month. It does say to me, hey, okay, if you played better than every other team in July, then is there a chance you can do it again in August? Because you really should have been 3 or 4 wins better in July than you were, and you are already the best team in the National League.
Easily.
That tells me you should be gaining ground in these next 2 months on those teams.
I couldn't agree more. Now, the schedule gets, I think, more difficult in the month of August. Because no problem.
The last place teams are the ones that give the Padres trouble.
You are absolutely right. So if history holds, if it holds serve, that's kind of what we're looking at.
The rumors this morning mostly centered around Justin Verlander, Dodgers, Astros, mystery team, which may or may not be the Orioles that people are talking about right now, but we'll tell you if anything happens. When we come back, though, we got a lot to get into from last night's game. Yet another, the 18th, as I count, agonizing loss for the Padres, and in different ways. I mean, different and creative ways. A terrible send at third base, a dropped tag by Manny Machado. Just all the different things that happened in last night's game. We'll talk about it next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Cars.com. Whether you're looking for the perfect summer road trip car or something you can zip around in, or perhaps a midlife crisis Camry, you can visit Cars.com today. They have over 2 million cars for your 2 million summer possibilities. Head to Cars.com. Check out the possibilities. Cars.com. Where to next? But where do we start on last night's game? Everything.
Start at the beginning.
All right, we'll start at the beginning. It's our Padres wrap-up. We'll get to it right after the check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family. Here's Kelly Danick.
Just one thing to watch out for in your travels. Got a stalled car on the transition ramp, southbound 15, right at the westbound King Freeway from that. They're kind of over to the right, so just be extra careful there. That's South 15 to the westbound King Freeway. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You can visit Pity City, but you can't live there.
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy, live from the Crapper again.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Oh, God, here we go.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
2-1 pitch, lined into center field. That'll get down a base hit. Padres take the lead. Jake Cronenworth, another hit. This one an RBI single. And it's 1-0 in the fourth as Soto comes in to score. 1-2, Montero line drive into left center field. That'll be a base hit. Totally rounding third. He's going to score. Grisham has trouble picking it up. Now Castro rounding third. He's going to score, and the Rockies go in front 2-1 here in the fifth. Here's the 1-2. McMahon sends it in the air to deep right center. Fernando back near the birdcage looking up. Going to go. Home run, Ryan McMahon. And 3-1 Rockies here in the sixth. Bird set and ready. The pitch to bat is grounded up the middle, and a diving attempt by Castro goes off his glove into left center for a base hit. Cronenworth will score. Matthew Batten 3 for 3, and a 1-run game here in the seventh.
All three singles right back up the middle.
Trent 8 career home runs here at Coors Field. Swings here, sends one in the air to deep right field. Tolley is back at the wall. It's 9 for Trent Grisham at Coors. Into the Rocky bullpen. And down to their final out. The Padres tie it up here in the ninth. McMahon homered in the sixth. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Reaches for it, pops it up. Shallow left field. Soto getting underneath of it. He makes the catch. Doyle tagging, going to try and score. Here's the throw from Soto, and he is safe. A game-winning sac fly for Ryan McMahon. And the Rockies win it in the 10th, 4-3.
Yeah, bases loaded, nobody out. So, we've a little stymied there in those situations. Felt good about it, though.
I did too. When it happened, I felt really good about it until
I did too.
Xander
I was thinking, all right, you're going to exercise every demon with one fell swoop.
Yeah.
No extra inning wins, no grand slams. It's all, and no 4-game winning streak. And it's all going to end with one swing of the bat here in the top of the 10th inning. You're going to take care of all of them in one fell swoop. And that did not happen. That was our Padres wrap-up, and you didn't hear a couple of other key plays that happened in the game. But you said let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
Very beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning.
First, I think the first question from last night was, should that game have even been played?
I was so nervous about it, honestly, and you saw it kind of rear its ugly head early. Soto, let's be clear, is not the world's greatest left fielder anyway. The ball got lost from what I saw and what they said on the broadcast. The ball gets lost in the lights. It's cutting through the rain. It's kind of curving his way.
Those lights are much glarier when the raindrops are coming down.
Yep.
It happens.
And so he gets he gets caught in no man's land. I can't full sprint because I'm probably going to slip and eat ass if I do. I'm going to try to dive. I'm going to half-ass a dive. Listen, that didn't come back to haunt us. Got out of that inning, no problem. Major kudos go out to Seth Lugo. Guy pitched his ass off last night.
Well, first of all, the Rockies mishandled last night's game from the very beginning. because as we were reminded many times during the broadcast, they waited 2 hours and 20 minutes just to play in the worst rain of the night.
The worst rain of the night.
They said it was never as bad during the rain delay as it was during the entire game. So the Rockies completely mismanaged that from the very beginning. Now, that doesn't excuse the Padres losing the game. It could have hurt the Rockies more than it hurt the Padres, but it doesn't mean that the Rockies didn't completely. Now, it's not the umpires. Before the game starts, it's up to the home team whether you start or not. And they ended up deciding to start at like the precise worst moment you could have when the rain was the absolute heaviest and never really let up until I think the 10th inning was the first time it stopped raining in that game last night. So fail on the part of the Rockies for making everybody wait when you might as well have just played at the scheduled game time and, lived through whatever rain you had right there. But there was lightning flashing during the game. There was rain all the way through the game. I'm not sure that game should have been played at all. Now, the Padres, as you said, Seth Lugo pitched great, but there was the defensive play in the 5th inning. You didn't hear it, but with a runner on first, nobody out, a comebacker to the mound, Seth Lugo bobbles it, still has a reasonable out at second base, throws it to Xander Bogaerts, and a play that Bogaerts absolutely has to make in and out of his glove.
It's
and
in the pocket.
Instead of at least 1 out and maybe 2 outs and nobody on with a double play, you've got 2 on, and 1 out later, Elihuris Montero gives the Rockies a 2-1 lead. An absolute poorly timed, just terrible spot to make a mistake right there. After the Padres played some killer defense in the first few innings, Manny Machado turned a couple of amazing double plays, was looking fantastic. So the second part, as you already mentioned, not being able to score off Austin Gomber, a pitcher you've beaten twice this year, had been pitching better as of late. I think his ERA had been under 3 in his last 7 or 8 starts. So he had been pitching well, but you've got guys who should be able at Coors Field. We talked about it yesterday. The offense needed to show up last night in a big way with the bullpen taxed and unavailable. You knew you were probably going to have to score at least, give them 7-8 runs. That's not asking a lot at Coors Field, but it was asking too much of the Padres offense last night. So here they are in a bad spot. They're down 3-1. They get the RBI single in the 7th inning. Another play that was not heard, though, and was absolutely key to the game. In the top of the 8th inning, Juan Soto on second, Xander Bogaerts singles. What the heck was going on there? Juan Soto, if you're watching the replay, he breaks back towards second because he's not sure if the second baseman might catch the line or doesn't want to get doubled up. Fine. You shouldn't in that situation. Play it safe there. He made the right decision to not be aggressive. Only for him and Matt Williams to make the absolute wrong decision in being way too aggressive in getting the green light to go and try to score on a play that really they never had a chance. And Juan Soto was thrown out by 60 feet. I mean, he wasn't in the frame, so it's really hard to tell exactly how many feet he was thrown out by, but honestly, he wasn't halfway home by the time the ball got to the catcher's mitt.
I swear to God, in all my years watching baseball at any level, I've never seen a guy thrown out by that much. Ever. And I hope the 2 guys that were sitting behind me at the game on Sunday that were mad at Matt Williams for holding Soto on a seed hit to left field. Soto ended up getting the third, ended up coming around to score eventually, but they were like, Williams, dude, he's just so cautious, man. You got to send him there. And I turned around. It was one of the rare times I turned around. I go, bro, he can't run. Like, he's not fast. So now you throw in a sopping wet field and Juan Soto, who broke back towards the bag. Now he's trying to come around third. Ben, he was out by 40 feet. And there is no way you send him there. None. You got Cronenworth coming up next. Lazy fly ball ties the game. A double puts you ahead, whatever. There's just no way you send him.
I was wondering whether Bob Melvin would throw Matt Williams under the bus a little bit.
He's not going to do that.
He kind of defended the decision in his post-game comments.
Ball on the grass, rolling into center field, guys having to charge hard. You saw that Grish had trouble picking it up. Conditions, a lot of things. It doesn't look good when you get thrown out by a little bit, but when he sent him, I wasn't saying no. I understood the conditions.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what you do.
So Bob also challenged the play because the catcher was waiting for the ball with his legs straddling the line at home plate, blocking home plate. He was just as much or more than Gary Sanchez was in that game back in against the San Francisco Giants earlier this season when the Padres got ruled to be blocking the plate, and what was an out by 15 feet turned into a game-tying run for the Giants in one of those agonizing losses. I don't think that they should have overturned that, though. I think that today the umpires made the correct call. When the Padres were on the other end of it, they made the wrong call.
I mean, I had no
earlier in the season.
I didn't have some people like, oh, what a Bush League challenge. I'm like, why not? Why not challenge?
It was a Bush League challenge when the Giants did it.
Yeah,
Just because they won doesn't make it any dumber for the Giants to have made that challenge. So, I mean, I don't think it was the wrong call. I think the umpire should be ruling it that way in New York. It's disappointing that they're not applying the rule with the consistency, and it hurts the Padres both ways. It's frustrating.
He's halfway up the line, and the guy's got the ball. I mean, listen, you don't know until you try. Gabe Kapler probably didn't think he was going to win that one either, but he did. But no, there's so many opportunities in this game too. And listen, I know that there's a very loud bunt contingent in this on this radio station, and that's all fine and dandy. Trent Grisham has handled Gomber pretty well in his career. To give up an out at Coors Field early to move a guy over with one out. Now, Tatis hit an absolute missile to center. Didn't get over. I mean, you're giving up outs. Giving up outs at Coors Field will always be dumb. It'll always be the wrong decision. I mean, that is a place, again, where you should be able to put up runs. And so I understand maybe you're trying to bunt for a hit there. Ryan McMahon, if he's playing left field, I still think he's swing away there.
Trent Grisham possibly proving you right with his home run in the ninth inning.
Yeah, he's homered twice off
situation. That wasn't off Gomber, but a clutch home run for Grisham. But then I think you have to ask the question, while it looked good at the time when Soto lays down the bunt and it turns into a base hit, and then Manny gets on right after that, and you've loaded the bases, and you go, this is working out perfectly. Was it a bad decision for Juan Soto to lay down a bunt right there? One of the best hitters in baseball with a chance. He could have hit a 2-run home run.
He's been hitting barrels. He could have
hit a double in the gap. He could have hit a 2-run home run.
It's hard
to complain when the guy gets on
base,
and moves the guy over to third with nobody out. Yet your argument that you should never give up an out at Coors Field, and I'm sure Juan was definitely thinking base hit as he got when he laid down that bunt. I'm not sure that was the right decision. And when the Padres don't end up scoring, I'll tell you what, in hindsight, you wish that Juan would have swung away in the 10th inning as well.
Well, there's a lot of wishes and things like that. I was looking at the stat. Their bullpen, they're right in the middle. It was like a really crazy stat for their bullpen. 14th, 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 14th. In every category, they're right square.
That's in the National League.
In the National League. So they're last.
Other than the Nationals, they're the worst in the National League.
I thought that was Major League.
No, that was National League. 14th
Lord.
out of 15 teams in the National
So
League.
you combo that's even worse. And you combo that with a guy with a low 90s fastball that is getting you guys out early. You can't do anything but scratch out a run in the fourth or whatever it was. It was really, really a tough go last night. And I just finding new ways to lose is why I continue to watch this team. It's actually remarkable. They remind me, Ben, of, if you've ever seen the movie European Vacation, as it pertains to getting 4 wins. 4.
Come on.
He's in the roundabout and he just can't get over to the left. They're there. They're in the right spot. You're so close, you can see it you're in the distance, and he just can't get left. He just can't do it.
Hey, look, kids. There's Big Ben and there's Parliament.
There it is.
There it is.
I know. I can't seem to get over to the left, honey. I'll try next time.
Try next time.
Sorry. We'll get out of this jam in a minute.
Yeah. Will we?
Kids.
No.
Big Ben. Parliament again. Kids.
We know.
Big Ben.
Big Ben.
We know. 3 wins.
Parliament.
We know.
Yeah.
3 wins. 4 wins is so elusive.
Is that the 5th time this season they've gotten to 3 and failed to get to 4? I feel like it's right around 5 now.
Yeah.
One last play that we didn't discuss, but maybe the one spot where I thought maybe the Padres did get hosed a little bit.
No, I thought so too. People on our chat are disagreeing.
Manny
with
Machado's tag in the 10th inning was just a very weird play that I've never really seen, because he had the ball deep in his mitt. He put the tag on. There was no bobbling or wobbling and the ball was coming out. It's not like the runner kicked it out of his glove at third base. This is on the bunt as the Rockies tried to sacrifice their free runner over to third. And then as he's kind of lifting the glove up and going to flip it out to his hand, it comes out. Now, he wasn't reaching in for it yet. Maybe by the letter of the law, that was the right ruling of safe. I've just never seen anything like that where a ball was so clearly secured and tagged on the runner with really no question of what had happened. And then all of a sudden it comes out at the end and you don't end up getting the out. Just another one of those incredibly bizarre plays that, of course, ends up haunting the Padres as the Rockies score on the sacrifice. That guy comes home on the sacrifice fly with one out to win the game 4-3 in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Yeah, it's just very, very, very tough one to stomach. And Ben has actually compiled a list of the 18 toughest.
I've put them all together over
No,
the
you
last
did
few minutes.
not.
It's the most depressing thing I've ever.
I mean,
so we're not
together.
We're not visiting Pity City. We're setting up.
We're moving
there.
in.
We're there for like a Coachella weekend.
We're building a compound.
There's room for debate. You may have more on your list. You may feel that one wasn't as agonizing as some of the others, and you might have 16, you might have 20 on your list. But I went with 18 agonizing, excruciating, rip your heart out losses for the San Diego Padres this year. And we were talking before the show, like in a normal year, you expect a handful of those. What do you expect? Maybe like 4 or 5 in a 162 game season. You're going to lose some games that rip your heart out. 18 of them in the first 4 months of the season, though. You tell me if I'm wrong when we play that list back coming up here on Ben and Woods. Also play a little Take on Woods when we come up. We need a contestant to get away to Las Vegas. All coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Paulie's putting the finishing touches on our montage of excruciating
It's
losses.
really.
I can't wait to hear it.
I came up with my list of 18 last night. Ironically, I was looking this morning in the newsletter I just got from the UT. Kevin Acey has a list of 19 excruciating losses.
It's like one. What did Ben do?
He's just
Ben
like
did
me.
18?
He dated them and put them in a little chart, just like I did on our notes, so I can compare and contrast and see if
these go to 11.
We agree on our list. But he obviously picked at least one that I didn't choose from this season so far.
Oh, this is fantastic! What a great idea from Kevin. I'm looking at this right now.
Well, I hadn't published mine. I did tweet last night that I count 18 excruciating losses for the Padres this season.
So you're saying that he stole your idea?
I'm not saying that.
It's kind of what you're inferring.
It's a good idea either way. I'm not the only person with the thought that the Padres have lost a lot of tough
These
games
ideas,
this year.
they're just floating around in the air and people just pick them and then just coincidentally do them on the same day. It's wild.
He might accuse me of the same thing now because he got his out and we haven't done our list yet. So, hey, you snooze, you lose. You first to the finish line in your excruciating Padres list.
Yeah, it's quite a story you guys are breaking.
We're just doing a redux at some point. At the bottom of the hour, we'll have he doesn't have the audio montage that Paulie is putting together.
That is true.
Of this season. And I don't know how you pick, like, which one was the toughest loss of the year. I mean, they all feel really tough. And as you get later in the season, I think they all feel like
last night was the toughest.
I'll just give you like a hint. Like the first one for me was I think it was the third game or fourth game of the season, April 4th. The bullpen blows a 5-1 lead late in an 8-6 loss to the Diamondbacks. At the time, you go, that really sucked. I mean, I thought we were going to win that one, and didn't work out in the end. But we're also thinking, yeah, okay, but it's 1 out of 162. They've got all season long. This is going to be a terrific team. They get out to 5-1 leads all the time. They're going to be fine. So
I can't believe you didn't put opening day in there.
I didn't even that was emotionally
when I was so
disappointing, but it wasn't excruciating in terms of
excruciating for me.
Was it?
I was hungover.
Yeah,
and we had the long delay.
Yeah,
and we got out dueled by Herman Marquez, and it was really excruciating, and I had that gut feeling that day one that this season was going to be rough, and mostly the gut feeling was Corey Stewart's rum punch gurgling in my gut the next morning. That was a really, really tough one to stomach for me, both. So, yeah, we'll get to your list, your Pity City list.
We need a contestant for Take on Woods. If you want to call now, 833-288-0973. Saw some new contestants trying to get in, but get in early because we need to lock in a contestant now, and we're going to play in about 4 or 5 minutes. So call now, 833-288-0973. You could be the first in our new grand prize drawing for the trip to Las Vegas and Kool and the Gang tickets if you can beat or tie Woods in our musical trivia challenge. Coming up momentarily, again, 833-288-0973. In a night of bad news, was a little bit of good news last night for the Padres. Ha-Seong Kim getting back in the lineup just one day after jamming his shoulder at home plate. That was by far a faster return than I think any of us expected. And even though he did serve as the designated hitter, Bob Melvin said Kim's tried to talk his way into playing second base and fully expects him to be out there today at second base playing defense for the Padres. So maybe dodging a bullet there that could have been incredibly impactful to the rest of this season had they lost Ha-Seong Kim for any significant amount of time, seeing how valuable he has been all year long. It was good to have him back the very next day, almost like nothing had happened.
Yeah, it was, and I was really, really surprised. But great to see it. You just can't help but let your mind wander. What this season would look like if maybe he was your starting short. If you had in the offseason, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right? But Xander Bogaerts he started off so hot here, so hot. The only guy hitting, in April at all. On base, 41 games in a row. That was really fun. And then, the wrist started acting up. You watched the play last night, the booted ball. You watched 2 double plays. Then you watch the weak ground out with the bases loaded, nobody out. And of course you let your mind wander. What would this team have been like, without adding another superstar, maybe adding somebody to play first base. Crony stays at second where he's hit well and played great defense his entire career. What do you think this team would have looked like? I do wonder. Now, you got Xander Bogaerts for a long time, right? And I do think he'll settle in. But I saw that guy play a ton in Boston, Ben, a ton. And when I tell you he was a straight up assassin, he was. You could always count on him to, and he wasn't wrapping balls off the wall at Fenway, right? Like the Fenway merchant knock on him. Yeah, he hit some balls off the monster, but the guy was just a consummate guy. He would be the guy you wanted up at the plate, bases loaded, nobody out, period. You're like, God, we're going to have to face Xander Bogaerts here. I don't know what it is. Is it getting comfortable with a new team, a new city? I have no idea. I do expect him to be better. I do. And I still feel, I'll stand by this. I still feel it's not that these games aren't important. It's not. If for some reason we get to games that matter a little bit more, even in September, right? I do feel his experience will help us. And I do feel strongly that he will come through for us. I do.
Just to answer your question, because it's a very valid one. I don't think the Padres would be better off had they gone with the first baseman. Who would they have gotten? It's not as though Xander Bogaerts has been horrifically bad. Who would they have gotten that would have put up way better numbers? Now Xander's not killing it, but he's not killing. He's not also hurting the team. He had a bad game yesterday, but
he's leading Major League Baseball in grounded and double plays. That's killing the team. That is. I saw you tweet about his exit velo on a ground ball. That's the Hosmer-Esta. No one hit the ball harder,
but he's not hitting he's not as poor as Hosmer has done.
Well, no, but I mean
his OPS is still
at the bar?
7.
Yeah, is that the bar?
750-ish. I mean, it's not quite elite all-star over 800.
But I do feel when it comes to big hits and key moments.
Now, for what you're paying him and whether you could have more efficiently allocated those resources, absolutely. Whether you could say the Padres would have a way better record had they not had Xander Bogaerts on this team, I don't know that I agree with that.
But you could have used 280 to find a better catcher at the beginning of the year, to find a first baseman.
Yes,
again,
you could have allocated the resources differently.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, can't do anything about it now. And again, I like Xander Bogaerts. I think he's going to be okay. It just sucks that this is happening right now, and he seems to come up in that spot every game where he has the ability to ground into a double play. And it doesn't matter if he hits it 100 miles an hour on the ground.
He's historically been a very clutch player in his career. And he just hasn't been this year for the Padres.
He just hasn't been. And really nobody has. It's not like other guys are clutch around.
But you're not saying they need to get rid of him, trade him. They're not trying to offload him here. You just feel like, hey, it's a down season. Manny had a down year the first year he was with the Padres as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I fully am sympathetic to that.
First big free agent contract, lot of pressure, new city.
100%.
It does happen, and hopefully he'll be on the same trajectory as Manny after this year with the Padres.
Is he your long-term shortstop, though? I think that's probably bugging me more. I feel like he will hit. He can hit.
I don't really want to move Tatis back.
But Hassan Kim at short is Gold Glove caliber.
Kim, I would definitely try to find a way to get him back to short. If you don't, then Bogaerts is probably at short for at least a while.
A couple more years,
a few more years. All right, we got some contestants on the line. More Bogaerts in a bit. Right now, let's play Take on Woods. All right, we're going to see if Andy is dandy today in our game. Good morning, Andy.
Don't do that. Oh, no. Andy, we got you.
Andy's phone is not dandy.
Just had you.
Uh-oh. Hello?
Do you think that's good enough audio, or are we risking it here? We've got other callers on the line.
Andy, are you there?
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me.
All right, sounds good now. All right, we're going to take a chance with it, Andy. Here's what you're playing for. If you can beat or tie Woods, 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino, 2 tickets to Kool and the Gang in their residency through 2024. You can get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Be entered into our grand prize drawing for the getaway to Las Vegas. Here are your categories today. Billions and Billions. Those are songs with over 2 billion streams on Spotify. You're out, the keyword in all 5 of those answers. Or In the Ranks. Those are 5 song titles or artists that include an Army rank somewhere in there. So, Andy, what do you like to play? Billions and Billions, You're Out, or In the Ranks?
Billions and Billions.
Billions and Billions?
Billions and Billions, but we've got a very sketchy phone here, and I'm worried about it. I'm very worried about it. One more try. Andy, are you still there? I don't think so. We got to go with someone else. I'm sorry, Andy.
Let's try. Is this John?
John, are you there?
Good morning.
Oh, much better. John, are you playing Ready for Take on Woods?
I'd like to.
All right, you're in because of Andy's bad phone connection. Sorry, Andy. We'll try again tomorrow or another day. Categories here again, billions and billions, you're out, or in the ranks. What one of those three would you like to play?
Can I get a brief description?
Yeah, billions and billions, songs with over 2 billion Spotify streams. Out, the keyword, and you're out in all the answers, or in the ranks is Army ranks in all the song titles or artists.
Army rank.
Army ranks. All right, in the ranks. So today we're looking for 5 song titles or artists that include an Army rank or an enlisted person classification. You'll have 60 seconds to answer 5 questions. Say pass if you don't know one. We'll start with our 2-second song. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. John, are you ready to play?
Let's go.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music in the category in the ranks. Good luck, John. Let's take on Woods. Correct. Which 70s husband and wife duo became known for songs like Do That? Correct. In 1983, Germany's Peter Schilling released which musical sequel to David Bowie's Space Oddity?
Major Tom.
Correct. Several dozen celebrities are featured on the 8th Beatles album cover with songs including Penny Lane and which...
Sgt. Pepper.
Give it to me all.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Band, yes, Bland, whatever. Which 1980s glam metal band is best known for its double platinum album and song Cherry Pie?
Oh, Warrant.
Warrant, like Chief Warrant Officer, and very good, John. You slide in, you take Andy's spot, and you go 5 for 5 to become our first qualifier for Las Vegas. So let's bring Woods back in, see if he can match that in that category. He doesn't get the category, makes it a little tougher for him. Had a little contestant switcheroo because of phones, but you're playing John now. 60 seconds back on the clock. Time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on John.
Hall & Oates, Out of Touch?
Incorrect. Which 70 husband and wife duo became known for songs like Do That To Me One More Time and Muskrat?
Captain and Tennille.
Correct. In 1983, Germany's Peter Schilling released which musical sequel to David Bowie's Space Oddity?
It's 4, 3, 2, 1, I'll be low. What's the name of the song? Major Tom.
Correct. Several dozen celebrities are featured on the 8th Beatles album cover with songs including Penny Lane and which title track?
Sgt. Pepper's
Lonely
Hearts
Club Band. All right. Which 1980s glam metal band is best known for its double platinum album and song Cherry Pie?
Oh, come on. Warrant.
Very good.
Really
4
good.
out of 5, and that is a 5-4 loss for John, who got the 2-second song. It was Hall & Oates.
It was...
but that was...
Do you know
get
the
the
category
now?
No, let's see.
Captain and Tennille, Major Tom, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Warrant, like Chief Warrant Officer. They're all Army ranks.
Okay, so that would be... What the hell is that Hall & Oates song? Eyes? What?
Yeah.
Private
Eyes.
Private are watching you. John, congratulations. You have qualified for the trip to Las Vegas. Stay on the line.
Nice game. I feel good.
Ollie,
I feel
put your
good
name
about
into the hopper, and you get a daily ditty selection. So if you want to pick a song that you think will annoy Woods, go ahead and grab maybe Private Eyes. Now will
Private
annoy him
Eyes
because he didn't get that one correct.
That's one of them.
Could be a good choice.
That's
all
one.
right. We'll do Don't Do This coming up next.
Also got a in Don't Do This. Want to read a tribute for Do This, and it's kind of a combo. Shout out to his family. Big loss yesterday.
Coming back next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't do this.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
Dumbass.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't Do This
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
And you can join 97.3 The Fan this Friday at AleSmith as we broadcast all day long. Get you ready as the Padres take on the Dodgers. Celebrate the anniversary of Tony Gwynn's 2,000th and 3,000 hits. It started at 6 a.m. with our show, followed by Coach Quintera, Gwynn, and Chris. Going to be giving away tickets to see the Padres, Guns N' Roses, and tickets to SeaWorld. So join us at AleSmith for a day of beer, celebration, and Padres talk this Friday. It's funny because it's celebration that I want to talk about in one of these debatable Don't Do This stories. Last night, early this morning, actually, from the Women's World Cup, the United States played to a 0-0 draw against Portugal, the result of which sent the United States into the knockout round, the final 16 at the Women's World Cup in New Zealand. However, they were pretty heavy favorites against Portugal. They had never lost to them in their history, and they very easily could have lost. They did not play a very good match. And it rubbed former U.S. women's national team member and now analyst Carly Lloyd the wrong way when she saw the team celebrating the tie after the game. Here's what Carly said.
I have never witnessed, and just seeing these images for the first time right now on the desk, I've never witnessed something like that. There's a difference between being respectful of the fans and saying hello to your family, but to be dancing, to be smiling. I mean, the player of the match was that host.
Oh.
You were lucky to not be going home right now.
Spicy comment. She also said the U.S. team lacked passion in the game, questioned their effort. The coach, Vlatko Andonovski, hit back, said it's insane to doubt the players' drive to win, even though it was not a great performance, he said, a little disappointing on the 0-0 draw. So here's the question. Is it okay to celebrate the result, even if you didn't play well?
Didn't we celebrate getting into the playoffs last year in a loss? That was fun.
It's kind of similar. I mean, there's nothing.
That was super awkward.
That was so awkward.
So the Netherlands won 7-0 over Vietnam. So there's no way the United States could have really won on goal differential and won the group. So the best they could have done was advance and finish second in their group, which they did. Yeah. It's like winning a playoff series because the other team just had a terrible game 5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Not the World Series, but like winning an early round series because the other team just gave it to you and screwed it up, and you ended up winning 4-2. You celebrating afterwards, even though you didn't play well?
I think you
do.
I do too, I think it's more of a release of relief, right? Just like woo, okay, we have not played our best. We got the results we needed.
And
doesn't really matter how you got there. Did she want them to hang their head in shame? I mean, again, she's done it. She's done it. Who am I to say? I just, I can understand her take. It's a bit boomery. You hear it in baseball a lot when you watch a lot of baseball. Just act like you've been there. Like,
Netherlands scored a bunch of goals early in the other game, so they knew right away they were playing for second.
Yeah,
all they had to do was tie.
Just tie. Yeah, sure.
Did they get close to losing? Absolutely. Did they?
They didn't lose.
They got the results.
They got the result they wanted.
At the end of the day, and they are moving on.
And just because you played that way in that game does not mean that you'll play that way the rest of the tournament. That's true. So I thought that.
I guess Carly Lloyd gets the don't do this.
I think so.
Account,
yeah, I think so.
Maybe the U.S. women's national team does. If you agree with Carly,
here's a little combo for you: a little do this, and a shout out to his family.
DD mega doo.
Shout out to his family.
I like that. Very, very sad story yesterday with Paul Rubens passing away at the age of 70. I think I don't know of anybody who was not touched by his comedic performances growing up. Ben, you and I, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I remember watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I think I watched it every day for an entire summer. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it.
I did like that. Large Marge,
amazing.
Francis.
Deep in the heart of Texas. I mean, it just laid me out. He was
sorry, Dottie.
It was just he's such a different guy. He kind of embraced the weirdness, and he did a lot. I read a story last night on Twitter that brought me to tears, man. I wanted to share it with you guys for do this. So, guy by the name of Mario Alejandro tweets this. In 2013, I was going through a nasty divorce and bitter custody battle. My ex-wife took our home. I had to move into a motel temporarily. To make matters worse, she wouldn't let me see our daughter except once a weekend in exchange for child support. During those weekends, I spent every waking minute taking my daughter all over Sarasota, never knowing when I'd be able to see her again. At nights, we'd binge on Pee Wee Herman for months, and she became the world's youngest Pee Wee fan. In 2014, with the divorce behind me and now having full custody of my daughter, I emailed Paul Rubens on Facebook, of all things, to thank him for making my childhood so much fun and helping my daughter and I through hard times. Shockingly, he responded with an inspirational message and asked me for my phone number. Honestly, I was terrified, but I gave it to him. The next day he called. We talked for 10 minutes about the divorce, my job, my daughter, and of course, his amazing work. He asked me to save his number and to call him next month, as he's going to be out of town for a few weeks. A month later, I gave him a call. He invited us to his mother's home in Sarasota. He met my daughter, who was only 3, showed us props from his show, even fed us juice and snacks by his private lake where my daughter chased ducks. We didn't want to overstay our welcome, so we left within the hour. But I'll never forget the day my daughter and I got to hang out with the person who showed us just how fun even the most mundane activities could be with a little imagination. I thought that was so cool, so special. I loved him in the movie Blow so much. He was such a random. I love that movie. And what a random character. Like to cast him in that role as the pot dealing hairstylist that kind of set George Young out on his way. He was brilliant. He was a brilliant comedian. He was a brilliant actor, and man, just a seemingly really great person as well. It's very bummed to see that news yesterday.
70 years old.
70, had cancer, and he'd written a message.
Private battle with cancer.
Private battle. Did not share it with his fans. 6 years he was battling it, and he wrote a message the night before he passed away, essentially saying, "I'm really sorry. I haven't shared this with you guys, but it's just not something I really wanted to do." And he passed away the next day, which was yesterday. So 70 years old. Shout out to his family. The great Paul Rubens. The great Pee Wee Herman.
That is Don't and Do This for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
You know, in this day and age of, obviously you have, people who do or say the wrong thing, and it can be held against them for a long time. Yeah. He went through that.
He did
in the 1990s.
He was a punchline of many a joke.
You remember his arrest at at like a XXX movie theater for doing what but you can't do it in public, obviously. But still, it wasn't at a G-rated movie.
Question: would you have ever gone into one of those?
No.
I don't think I would have either.
I don't think I could.
That's
bring
not
myself.
couldn't have done it. I don't want to watch that.
With other people
there.
Yeah.
Is it just spaced out? What if some guy sat right next to you?
Also,
like at the urinal, you're like, hey,
well,
there's 10 urinals here. What are you doing?
I'll be honest. When I heard about what happened to him in 91 or whatever that was,
so long ago,
I thought, what else do you do in those types of places?
You're just supposed to store it to the old memory bank, then run out real quick.
It wasn't like it was an AMC,
right? Yeah, it's not like he was there to see, Back to the Future. And they're like, hey, you can't do that in here.
Again, we just said I don't think any of us could bring ourselves to go to one of those theaters. But would you, if you were to go in there, would you be surprised if you saw that?
I wouldn't. That's the thing. I wouldn't either. I would be like, oh, hey.
The internet was just like a decade too late for it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They had VHS though back then. I'm pretty sure
they did.
My memory serves.
Yeah. All right. Probably didn't need to bring that up.
You probably did it.
Yeah.
You probably did it. But you did.
We never let anyone forget their mistakes anymore.
That's true.
I mean, as it seemed based on a lot of what the people were saying yesterday,
you guys want to remember
a really good guy.
You want to remember 18 Padres mistakes.
Yeah. You're a glutton for it.
Honestly, when you combine my list with the other list that's out this morning, it climbs to 22 unique different Padres games. I've got my 18 though. Agonizing
That's
losses.
what I worked off of.
It's almost like let's just lean into it. At some point, it's impressive that they can keep doing this.
Yes,
like,
it is. It's almost amazing.
If you said try to lose as many agonizing games as possible, I don't know how many teams could get more than like 8 or 9 all year ago. We don't know what else to do.
Create 18 to 22. Create 22 different scenarios.
Yes, come up with it. I challenge teams to do what the Padres have done this year.
They are defying everything.
We will come with that next on 97.3 The Fan. We've got that little tense refresh going every once in a while here on Twitter to see if we're missing anything, if the Padres are making any moves. So far, nothing on this trade deadline day. You've got to imagine there's still some moves to be made. As Woods laid out, it's hard to imagine a scenario in which the Padres do absolutely nothing. I thought your logic was sound, Woods.
Sound.
When you said, well, if you're not trading away Josh Hader and Blake Snell, you are, in fact, then going for it.
Correct.
And if you are going for it,
then do something.
Why aren't you adding at least a small piece or two to fortify what you already have for the rest of the season?
Honestly, I think
if the asking prices are just exorbitant for players that you don't think are worth it, if you're going like, hey, I want this guy. He's an okay bat.
Look at the moves that have been made. Have you seen exorbitant prices being paid?
No, but it depends.
Nobody
on what
knows.
team
Some people say, "Oh my God, what an overpay!"
Yeah.
Or "Oh, you got fleeced." Nobody knows.
I mean, it depends on what team you're asking and, what general manager you're talking with at that time. If he has his heart set on a player that you do not want to give up and you're not going to give up, maybe you can't come to an agreement on a player in that trade. So there's a lot of different, pieces and factors at the trade deadline that come into play here in these last hours. But deadlines spur action. That's for sure. So,
I just got a text from a guy that says he has a friend of a friend, and the names mentioned they play for the Cardinals, so could be potentially a couple guys from the Cardinals coming here.
We talked about Dylan Carlson yesterday, fitting maybe the left-handed bat
that
role,
could be,
kind of a minor pickup.
Never know. Could be just smoke.
I saw John Morosi just tweet that the Cardinals are talking about some of their bats still being available today, including Dylan Carlson. So if there's one name maybe to keep your eye on, that's one of them here this morning.
How's he doing?
He's hitting like 230 or something.
Fit right in.
Yeah, nothing special for sure.
Fit right in.
All right, we're going to check traffic. When we come back, Paulie has mashed up the 18 games I identified as agonizing losses for the Padres this season.
I love an agonizing mashup.
Again,
so much.
Again, your own list may differ slightly. You may have less. You may have more. I compared it with the UT's list this morning. If you count both of ours together, there's 22 of them in total. Well, I've got 18 of them.
How many losses do we have total?
55.
55. Okay.
So more than a third of the losses, more than a fifth of their total games this season. If you count by 22.
So once a week, they're ripping. Once every 5 days, they're ripping your absolute soul
which
from your
feels
body.
about right this year.
It really does.
For the San Diego Padres. So the mashup of misery, which is actually at this point, it's impressive. It's Ron Burgundy. You ate the entire wheel of cheese and pooped in the refrigerator. I'm not mad. I'm impressed.
You have no choice but to be. Yeah.
I'm impressed at this point. The mashup of misery coming up after the check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Got a few problems here, guys. One is this hit and run crash on southbound 805 right before Sorrento Valley Road. Looks like tow truck is on scene. Everything's been moved over to the right shoulder. In the North County, westbound 78, right past Nordall Road, collision in the center divide. Then up ahead, just past San Marcos Boulevard, we have reports of a spin out. This car is facing the wrong way over the right shoulder. Coach Quintero and Joe Musgrove's Choice, they're a different kind of dealership, looking to be a solid community partner and deliver excellent service. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Chevrolet finds new roads. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Welcome to the torture chamber.
Here's the pitch and a swing and a miss. The Diamondbacks with a come-from-behind win here this afternoon. Grisman, a look back at Rosario. Now the 2-2 pitch. That's reached for, line to center field, a base hit. Grisham's charging. He comes up throwing. Here it is to the plate. Not in time. And Atlanta wins it 7-6. 0-2 to Camposano. Here's the pitch and a swing and a miss. Strike three. And the Padres cannot score in the 10th inning. 3-2. They will go. Here's the payoff pitch, and Trent takes at the top of the zone. Strike three called. 2 on and 2 out. 2-2 to number 22. And the pitch is on the outside corner. Strike three called. Here's the pitch from Hader. Swing and a high fly ball to deep left center. Soto's going back at the wall. This one gonna go. A game-tying home run for Mookie Betts with 2 outs in the top of the 9th.
Odor and Cronenworth on the infield. Austin Nole, the only difference. Ground ball past the diving Jake Cronenworth down the first base line. The run is going to score, and the Twins are going to win this ball game by a score of 4-3 in the bottom of the 11th inning.
Runners lead at second and third. Here's the pitch and a ground ball towards third. That is a fair ball down the line, and that'll do it.
There's a ground ball fair up the first baseline into right field, and the Marlins walk it off.
1-1 pitch, sky to deep right field. That's going to do it. Nolan Jones, a walk-off home run way up and out. Might have found the upper deck and right. My goodness, what a long home run. And the Rockies hit a pair of home runs in the bottom of the ninth inning to win it. Burr is set at the belt. Here's the pitch. And that's hit in the air to deep right field. That'll win the game one way or another. And it is going to go. 3-2 again to John Peterson. Here's the pitch from Hader. It is outside ball 4. Matos will score on the walk-off walk. And the game is over. First pitch on the way. And he swings, hits a topper to the left of the mound. Bednar can't get there. Triolo charges, throw to first in time. Ball game is over. Carlton set, the right-hander deals, and Steer swings, hits one in the air to deep left field. You've got to be kidding. Tim Hill desperately trying to keep this where it's at, and a line drive base hit into left field. He won't do it. And that's it in the air to center field. Grisham charging, and it gets down for a base hit. Line drive single from Bryce Harper to tie the game. 2-2 with the bases loaded, 2 outs. Bednar ready. Here's the pitch to Grisham, and a swing and a miss. It's a liner up the middle. That's into center field, a base hit. Soto's going to be rounding third. Here's the throw from Doyle, and he's going to be out by a lot.
18, count them, excruciating losses. Now tell me, was there any of that you had forgotten about that rung a bell? I had forgotten about Jesse's near brush with death, the one where he sounded
when he was
so
like,
terrible.
Yeah.
Was that on that Miami road trip, I think?
Yeah.
Oh, just sounded awful as the Padres lost that one.
The walking in a run was awesome.
That was one of those games was the Giants, the blocking of the plate game as well.
Jesse on life support.
There's a ground ball fair up the first baseline into right field, and the Marlins walk it off.
And the Marlins walk it off.
That was 2 in the ninth off Josh Hader to win 2-1 after the Padres had led 1-0 going into the bottom of the ninth back on May 31st. It started all the way back on April 4th. That was their first game against Arizona, second series of the season, or third game against Arizona, but first loss 8-6 when they blew a 5-1 lead and lost 8-6 to the Diamondbacks. The next game, the walk-off in Atlanta, they got 2 in the 8th off Tim Hill, 1 in the 9th off Nabil Krismat for the walk-off 7-6 win. So many painful and agonizing losses. I can't tell you that yesterday's was the worst. I still think maybe
it's recency bias.
Maybe the ones in San Francisco, that series was so tough, so bad. Philadelphia, that was a tough one. The Phillies scoring 3 in the bottom of the 8th. The Bryce Harper single in the 10th to tie it off Hader, and they lose 7-6 in 12 innings that game.
So that was 18 excruciating losses. Yeah. Can we agree? Excruciating loss in this capacity meant should have won, right? It wasn't like you just got pummeled 13-0.
I'm not going to say they should have won every single one of those 18, but you felt like at least 14 or 15 of them. So, absolutely. You just play them out like normal. You win at least 15 of those games.
Alex in the chat says, imagine if we just split those. That's not unreasonable, right? 9 out of 18. How are we feeling if the Padres are 61-45?
That didn't include, I think four or so of the extra inning losses I didn't even include on that list. There are many 1- and 2-run losses I didn't include on that list that were close all the way throughout, but didn't rise to the level of excruciatingly painful. They were just, hey, you got outplayed and you lost 4-2, and you were down early, you never were able to catch up. That's frustrating, but that's not excruciating. Those 18 in my mind were the worst of the worst this year, and almost every single one of them, you can make the argument the Padres should have won.
Yeah, no question. No question. Frank, Jolted Bolt fan, tweets into the show, this team is unwatchable. The signing of Bogarts was a waste of money. I believe his wrist is worse than he wants to admit. Time to reload for next year. I do disagree that this team is unwatchable. They're very watchable. I mean, if you take emotion out of it, which none of us can really do, they're a very watchable baseball team based on those 18 out of, again, probably 22 losses. I mean, it's high drama. There's no getting around that. It is high drama. if you just move to the States and you move to San Diego and you're watching the baseball team every night, you go, oh my God, this is actually pretty exciting stuff. I don't really have a rooting interest, but oh my God, this team is very watchable, and they find new ways to lose weirdly, like sending ATM machine Juan Soto. There's no chance he's safe at home. There's a ball that hits Xander Bogaerts right in the glove, right in the pocket of the glove. There's Manny Machado, a tag, that he held on and then dropped the ball. All of these are extremely watchable moments. like it's hard. That's why the apathy doesn't set in, because I've never seen some of the stuff I see when I watch Padres games.
The question was asked, so where would the Padres be if they had just split those 18 excruciating losses? They would be 61-46 and a half game ahead of the Dodgers in first place in the National League West right now. If they just split those games, still had 9 excruciating losses, which is still
a lot
more than you expect over the course of an entire season, much less 4 months. And you just split those games, Padres would be in first place right now.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, our boy Tommy tweeted in last night, Xander Bogaerts with runners in scoring position. You know what his career was in Boston? With runners in scoring position, Xander Bogaerts had a career OPS, on base plus slugging, of 830. This year, 704. I mean, that is a staggering
it's Bob Melvin,
deficit.
Right?
Yeah, it must be Bob Melvin.
Must be Bob Melvin.
Yeah.
I get that still.
I do too.
It's got to be coaching, and I still don't see where you make the logical leap.
You have the bases loaded, nobody out in the 10th inning, you get no runs. No runs with superstar players. They're ready to go. Highly paid players ready to go. Hit a single, hit a lazy fly ball, whatever it may take. And that clutch gene has eluded this team all year. I don't know how you go out and find clutch. I don't know how you inject clutch into a team. I think the only way it happens is if it just starts to happen. And there's no solace in that whatsoever. Like praying for clutch to arrive, it's no strategy. There's no strategy in that at all. And I had people say, well, you got to move Xander down in the order. Who moves up in the order? Honestly, for every gripe and complaint, there needs to be a solution.
I mean, Jake has 4 straight multi-hit games, but do you want to move him now that he's kind of gotten locked in? I mean, you could go righty, lefty, righty. If you go Machado, Cronenworth, Bogaerts. I think in an ideal world, had Jake been having a good season, that's not the worst call to have a lineup like that.
Maybe you hit, and Ha-Seong Kim's been so brilliant in the leadoff spot. You hate to mess with him. What if you put Xander at leadoff? Because he can hit when there's nobody on base. He's a fine hitter if there's somebody on base. And with the bottom of our order, how many times is he really going to come up with guys on base? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're rolling Batten and Rivas and Grish out there, lead him off. Lead him off. You can't hit into a double play the first batter of the game. So
Sanchez either going to hit a home run or get out.
Yeah, exactly. So I at this point, but then you're moving Ha-Seong Kim, who's been phenomenal in the leadoff spot. Tatis isn't really playing that great in the 2-hole. You got a lot of parts. You just kind of don't know where to put them.
Well, before we reconstruct the lineup, remember, it may look different tomorrow depending on what A.J. Preller does. Is there other options that you are putting in there in that lineup? What changes would you make? Honestly, you watched the last few days against the Rangers, I would have been hesitant to make any big changes in the Padres lineup. I liked the duo of Campusano and Sanchez. Yesterday with Ha-Seong Kim as the designated hitter, getting a day off the field at least to rest his shoulder. You put Batten in there, but he wasn't the problem yesterday. Came up 3 hits up the middle, a little clutchness for Batten in a chance to start. So, the question is, what does this team look like tomorrow at this time? And then you can start trying to figure out how better to deploy the assets that you still have. Matthew in the chat says, please play the "You've Got to Be Kidding Me" audio again. Which one?
Everybody wanted to hear
which
this
one was
again.
that one again?
This was, let me pull it up. This was June 30th.
That would be the
Your note says
that's the
Padres scored 2 in the 10th.
That was the Reds game. One of the most painful ones where they were 1 out away again, and they got
it was Ray Kerr.
McLean hit the tying home run.
That hurt. That game hurt.
This is Steer
so bad.
And then Spencer Steer had the walk-off home
Carlton
run.
sent the right-hander deals, and Steer swings, hits one in the air to deep left field. You've got to be kidding. That is going to go. Second deck and left, a walk-off 2-run home run, and the Reds in 11 innings win it 7-5.
I mean, we've had 4 or 5 more excruciating, you got to be kidding me moments.
You got to be kidding.
That's I mean, is that, we're looking for hashtags for the Padres season, bring the gold. Has Jesse come up with the hashtag?
Gotta be kidding.
Padres.
You got to be kidding.
You got to be kidding.
Got to be kidding.
You got to be kidding.
Maybe ultimately what
yet?
this season's remembered for. You got to be kidding.
Should we do a faith healer again? Or? No. We've tried everything we can do.
Somebody said bring back Ben Reed's raps.
If I thought it would work, it can't hurt.
Can't hurt. We are going to be on remote on Friday. At
Oh, God, a live rap?
Haven't done a live one in a while.
All right,
so if
that's
you want
done. That's a
schedule
reason.
that for Friday, go ahead.
That is a reason to come down to Ale Smith to watch Ben do it live. I like that. Okay, yeah, we'll bring it back. I mean, where will we be sitting? Where will we be sitting in the standings by then? Give me the update on what happened
there's
last
only
night.
2 more games between now and then.
That's true.
Yeah, let's do that. What we want to do it right now. We got a couple seconds.
Got a couple minutes, yeah.
Yesterday, obviously,
as bad as our loss was,
so we knew actually going into the day that the Padres were going to gain ground on 3 teams if they won and lose on 3 teams if they lost, because all the National League contenders were playing each other save one. Diamondbacks beat the Giants 4-3-11, but
who do we root for?
See, it doesn't at this point. It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Giants lost, Diamondbacks won. Phillies beat the Marlins 4-2.
Okay.
I don't know if you think the Phillies are more dangerous. You could be cheering for the Marlins, but the Marlins are ahead of you as well. Reds beat the Cubs 6-5.
They're both ahead of you.
They're both ahead of you. The only one that really mattered with a real rooting interest, you were cheering for the Nationals to beat the Brewers.
They did
5-3. They rallied late. So best possible outcomes really yesterday in the National League for you. And if you had won, Padres would have been 4 games out of a playoff spot here going into the deadline. And we would have been bye. We would have been all in with a 4-game winning streak, maybe a first extra inning win of the season, all the demons exercised, and we'd all be looking really forward to these last 2 months of the year and a potential run. Didn't happen, though. Did not happen. Jesse Agler, he of the hashtag You Gotta Be Kidding Me, going to join us coming up in our 8 o'clock hour ahead on Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on a Tuesday, and I will say these 2 hours have absolutely flown by. They absolutely have. Still don't know who's going to be towing the slab today, towing the rubber, as it were, for the San Diego Padres. Our best educated guess is probably Ryan Weathers. You just never know. You never know what's going to happen with this team. They are Jekyll and Hyde of epic proportions. So you don't know who's going to show up. You do get that feeling, though. I mean, Ryan Weathers probably isn't anyone's first choice. That being said, this is what you have. You play the hand that you're dealt, and you hope the offense comes out and scores about 14 in the first. But yeah, you're a little bit behind it right now. It's kind of why you needed to not waste that really, really nice pitching performance from Seth Lugo last night. So I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. And to my left is Benjamin Higgins, friendly neighborhood sports anchor.
Yep. Seth Lugo did what the Padres needed him to do last night.
As most of the starters continue to do.
The interesting stat, he was the last pitcher to allow an earned run when he did so on Wednesday against the Pirates, starter, and then became the next starter to do so as well after all the other three guys did not allow an earned run over the weekend to the Texas Rangers. Still, at Coors Field, you go 7 innings, you give up 3 runs. That's a quality plus start, bro.
It's factoring in the Coors factor. Holy cow, man! I mean, just a really, really nice performance in a really nice season. And you hate to go through a season having so many good pitching performances wasted, man. Whether it's the bullpen or the anemic offense, and it just, I don't know what it is, Ben, but you watch Austin Gomber come out and start firing the pill in the first inning, throwing 90-mile-an-hour heaters by guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. What does that tell you? What is going on?
I know the numbers like 0-10 in extra innings and 6-18 in one-run games absolutely stand out and are huge to why the Padres haven't been successful this season. But the one that actually gets me the most doesn't sound nearly as bad. Padres are 33-19 when they get a quality start. You should be 43-9 when you're getting quality starts. In today's game of baseball, especially with the lineup that you've put on the field that you're investing in, if your starter goes at least 6, and a lot of those times they're giving up less than 3, 6 innings, 1 run, 6 innings, 2 runs, you need to be winning 80% of those games.
Oh, no doubt.
And the Padres are only winning about 60 to 65% of those games. That's a ton of wins left on the table. 8, 9, 10 wins. That, as we already told you, 9 wins right now is the difference between the Padres being in first place and only on the fringes of the wild card race.
Yep. Well, and again, if you had going back to the trade deadline, which is today, right? 3:00 our time. Yes.
3:00. That's why we're doing a 2:00 roundtable show today. Back here this afternoon for more Ben and Woods.
That's exactly right. Many teams have improved. It's quiet this morning. There hasn't been anything announced that I've seen yet. Many teams, though, decided not to wait until the deadline and have tried to improve their team, 4 or 5 days ago. AJ Preller did not. He probably has tried to improve the team. Nothing has come to fruition. But you watch some of the guys that have been on the move. I think Grichuk hit a bomb for the Angels last night. Reynaldo Lopez is a guy they picked up. He came in, shut it down in the 9th. I think they won 4-1, coming in, pumping 100. A lot of teams, Ben, have done that thing where they've improved on the fringes, the things that they needed. And it just right now you're looking at this going, interesting. I'm really interested in this approach. Is something big brewing behind the scenes? I have no idea. I'm checking my phone. It's hard to do this show whilst, refreshing Twitter and checking your phone.
My head, yeah, we got MLB Network and they got the crawl at the bottom, waiting to see if there's any breaking news that involves the Padres, but we've seen nothing so far.
Yeah, the Orioles are allegedly in the mix for Justin Verlander. It is not known if he will accept that trade to the Orioles. I don't know why he wouldn't.
He has full no trade?
I think he's got full.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I think at that point in his career, he's probably got full no trade, and he can pick and choose where he wants to go. I can't imagine why he wouldn't want to go and pitch in Baltimore. The team is fantastic, and a veteran guy like Verlander, I think, would help them. And they need to go for it. They need to show their young talent. We're in this thing to win. That's going to cost them a prospect.
Maybe Adam Jones needs to give him a little pitch.
I mean,
Baltimore.
Adam Jones was basically saying he'd be surprised if they do anything, but
so they really like their young players.
They do, but you gotta do something if you're Baltimore. There's those teams like we should do something, but there's those teams that we need it. There are absolute needs on this team. But there are teams that have to do something. They have to do something. So the Cubs go out.
The Braves just kind of bolstered.
They've already done it. They're probably
pieces,
good.
They're pretty happy with their squad. You think
Pierce Johnson, who they acquired about a week ago, has had 3 scoreless
nothing
appearances
flashy,
for them.
nothing sexy, but
they added 2 spots of weakness, and we have not yet. So we will see. Still plenty of time today. We'll keep you updated. Stay right here on Ben and Woods for
plenty
any breaking
of time,
news.
but not a ton of at least reportedly available options out there.
Some of the options out there they do not blow your hair back.
I mean, we mentioned the St. Louis Cardinals have definitely been sellers. They've made it known. They've already made a bunch of deals. We've said the Padres need a left-handed bat. So Dylan Carlson, a guy who, might fit both bills, but hitting 230, 5 homers, 673 OPS. I mean, he can spell Trent Grisham in center, but I mean, Trent Grisham might be the better left-handed bat this season than Dylan Carlson. Does that really make your team better by adding a guy who has an on-base percentage of about 328, right? Well, I mean, where's Grisham's? Grisham has more than twice as many home runs. You feel like at least he's got that clutch, playoff gene that we saw last year, and he's been playing spectacular defense. I don't know that does the Padres any good.
Maybe you DH Juan Soto, get him out of left field until Carlson plays left. If that's the
is he better than Matt Batten? And in putting him out there at some point, I don't know. Is he better than Ben Gamel, who has been hitting in the minor leagues for the San Diego Padres? They acquired him for some reason, picked him up for cash considerations. I think he has 4 home runs in the last 4 or 5 days. AAA El Paso. I know those numbers don't really mean much, but before you make a move, don't you want to at least assess whether this move is actually going to help us? You may think that you're giving up. No, we're not giving up anything. It's just a low-level prospect. How many times has that come back to burn the Padres?
Seemingly all of them
on those low-level prospects in a couple of years. That's why I still think doing nothing remains a very likely outcome for the San Diego Padres today, even though it's going to feel like an L if the Padres do nothing at all.
I think it is an L.
But it's a win. It's better than overpaying for a player who doesn't help you.
If you're going to do nothing,
I mean, they should be trying to do something.
But if you're going to do nothing and you keep Snell and Hader, that's not good. Based on where this market is right now.
I mean, I fully expect AJ Preller is doing something, at least trying to do something. I don't think he should force a move, though, just to say I made a move. It's never a good idea to overpay a rental who's not any good. It's better to do nothing at all.
We've seen the Jake Marisniks of the world pop up. Oh, wow. Okay. Right? Like that's not
that didn't help.
That didn't do a damn thing, and it's not going to do anything for you this year, really either. But again, if you're going for it, right, and if you keep those 2 guys, that signals to me we like the team we have. We're going for it, and you don't upgrade the bullpen, the starting rotation, get a lefty bat. What are we doing? It doesn't make sense. If you're not going to go for it, then you have to trade those pieces. And I think most importantly, Josh Hader and Blake Snell,
so
which would suck.
If you're saying that at 2:00 today, an hour before the trade deadline, AJ is trying to add pieces, and there's nothing out there
then you got
that works.
Last minute call the Braves,
pivot, and say, okay, Hader's up for grabs now because we couldn't add, we need to sell. Is that what we're waiting? Is that why the Padres have waited so long?
Maybe. I mean, and again, you're if you have those pieces, they're in an interesting position because they don't have to sell, they don't have to buy, right? They're as you've said, they have the ability to stand pat and still have a decent enough team. But they're costing themselves if they can't get anything done. Do you think that Do you think that the panic for the Rays or the Braves or the Orioles is going to be less at 250 today? I think it's going to be, if they don't do anything, it's going to be more. I think you say, all right, well, guess what? Blake Snell's now on the market. We want blank, 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 and blank. Let's get it done. Done. Josh Hader's now on the market. You got 10 minutes. Call us back. I don't know that
it's a high stakes game of chicken right now.
100%.
And the Padres may be playing it both buy and sell, where, hey, we've given you our offer for Dylan Carlson, or whoever it is. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, you want prospects. You're going to get nothing for them in 5 hours unless you say yes. So maybe that's what's going on. And then the same thing the other way. Hey, we've given you our asking price for Josh Hader. We're happy keeping him if you don't want to meet it. The clock is running out on you guys right now. If you think you need a bullpen, an elite piece, we've got it. The price is going to be very steep, but after 3:00 today, you're not getting him. So
Dodgers front runners for Eduardo Rodriguez, per John Heyman, having a nice season for Detroit. Yeah, they're typically sellers. I think the asking price on both of those guys, on Eduardo Rodriguez, Justin Verlander, and there was another one, Lorenzen from the Tigers as well. I think it's pretty high. I don't know, man. I just the doing nothing is the thing that's making me the most nervous, honestly. And listen, when they add some middling outfielder or something, it's not going to do anything for me, and probably won't be the missing piece.
So you think they need to do something, but whatever they do is not going to do anything for you.
See, well, no, it's got to be. It has to be significant one way or the other, right? It has to be fairly significant one way or the other. And by one way, I mean add somebody that nobody thought about, add an arm that nobody thought about, add a bat that nobody thought about, or get rid of those.
If it comes at the
chips.
cost of one of your top prospects, I think that's the biggest loss the Padres can do at this deadline. To throw another huge prospect.
Let's play the game.
At an already problematic team.
Let's play the game and say the name. Jackson Merrill. Okay? He's having really, really nice season and is tearing it up right now. When Jackson Merrill is ready, let's say you extend Ha-Seong Kim. I can't imagine you let that guy walk. I don't know what he's going to command, but I can't imagine you let him walk in free agency after next year. Where does Jackson Merrill play? He doesn't play third. He doesn't play short here. Maybe second, maybe, but that means Cronenworth and Kim, and you've got a bit of a log jam there. So if it means Jackson Merrill, are you willing to pull the trigger on him?
I'm not saying that Jackson Merrill is untradeable, but it better be
somebody great.
It better be someone that you feel like is going to contribute for the next 2 to 3 years.
For sure.
And not just a rental for a couple of months for this team. You need to fill a big hole for multiple seasons, possibly at something that is fairly cost controlled, that you're not having to re-sign for free agency immediately. If you're going to trade a piece like Jackson Merrill, you're right. Jackson Merrill is probably the most tradable commodity because of where he sits in the prospect rankings and the fact that his path to the big leagues still seems to be blocked right now. But you don't make a panic deal and just trade off Jackson Merrill at the deadline on this particular team.
To do something.
You may trade him in the offseason. You keep that. That's a big chip that you've got, and you don't just waste the chip throwing it in on a bad hand. If you get a bad poker hand, and you're trying to stay into the river and you throw in your Jackson Merrill chip, even though you don't really have that great of a chance of winning, save him for the next hand when you might have better cards. Save him for a time where you may need to play that chip a little bit later.
I mean, maybe his prospect capital goes way up, next season, but then we're talking about next season.
Got a couple of callers on the line. If you've got some thoughts here, we can talk about them in our next segment. Give us a call now, 833-288-0973. We can get you on the line before Jesse is going to join us coming up here at the bottom of the hour from Coors Field in Denver after his late night. It's all coming up this hour of The Fan, brought to you by Mattress Makers. The perfect mattress is vital for a good night's sleep. Don't I know it? We'll be back after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Listen to Sam Levitt's podcast, Inside San Diego Baseball. Sam covering everything going on with the Padres. Find it at 97throughthefansd.com, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get the podcast. And speaking of covering the Padres, I just found out that there's going to be an A.J. Preller news conference on at 4 o'clock after the trade deadline is over. And we will carry that for you live here on 97.3 The Fan. It'll be during the Gwynn and Chris program just prior to Sammy's pregame show at 4:40 today. So whatever moves are or are not made, you will hear A.J. Preller reacting to them coming up at 4 o'clock this afternoon here on the flagship.
Hey, morning.
97.3 The Fan. Did you make a trade, A.J., at the deadline?
Is it a secret? Why are you keeping it from us?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's usually the answer you get.
Wait, what did we decide? No means no, and no means yes.
You get no more often.
Yeah, we think.
Let's go out to the phone line.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Let's go out to the phone lines for a couple minutes before Jesse Agler joins us. We got Hoss ready to talk Padres baseball on 97 through the Fan.
Hoss,
that's what it says.
Did you say
Hoss Radburn, the
Hoss,
greatest baseball player of all time? Old Hoss Radburn.
Yep.
That's a whole other conversation, though. I'll call you back in the off season about that one.
Great. How you doing?
But I think I'm a first time caller to your show, but I listen to you guys all the time.
Thank you.
You're great. I'm a big fan of both of you, not just one of you. Like
thank you.
The other day.
I appreciate it. Jeez.
I'm a Ben.
I'm a Ben fan.
What the heck? Okay, so, but it's funny though. I work with that, and I'm looking forward to your 2 p.m. roundtable show too. That sounds really, really cool. But yeah, on the subject of these 18 losses, like going 0-10 in extra innings, I have the missing piece. I believe it's Jurickson Profar. I want to bring him back. He was always my favorite player because he was good in the clutch at the plate. He was good in the clutch at the field, coming up with big plays. And I just think, I don't have the stats to prove it, but I think he's got that it factor. And he's not really doing great in Colorado either. I think he's really better off here. It'd be a win-win. So I hope we bring him back.
I'm seeing a lot of, and thank you for the call, Old Hoss.
Oh, thank you.
I'm seeing a lot of nostalgia for players. Will Myers has been certainly mentioned, and I've seen that for Jurickson. I've seen Ty France. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of the ex-Padres. At one point, months ago, why don't we bring Fran Mill back? Well, he said, I think above, what's the catcher for the Dodgers? Looks like a rat. What's his name? I know they all look like rats. Which one? Austin Barnes. I think right above Austin Barnes, Fran Mill Reyes was like the worst player in Major League Baseball. Like Austin Hedges was better than Fran Mill.
Challenging for that mantle this year?
Who?
Jurickson Profar.
Jurickson Profar.
After a career best 3.1 WAR last year, got a negative 1.2 WAR this year. Really having a dismal season with the Rockies. Power numbers are down from where they were with the Padres last year, despite playing at Coors Field. His on-base percentage still like 324, which puts him, Trent Grisham territory.
Doesn't blow out. I'm not gonna poo-poo your opinion, right? That's not what we're here to do. I'm not gonna call you any names. It doesn't move me. And everyone has their favorite player, and their favorite player gets traded away, and I get or resigns or holds out for more money, whatever. And that's fine. But it doesn't do anything for me personally.
One thing that we don't know is Trent Grisham Jurickson Profar ended up signing for pretty much what he made last year.
Yeah.
Didn't even get a raise, and he could have just opted in with the Padres for the same amount. Why didn't he come back? Why didn't the Padres try to bring him back? Is there a piece to the puzzle that we're not seeing when it comes to Jurickson Profar and why he's not here? This year?
I don't know. Obviously you hear things, but I don't know. I mean, that he and Tatis are close, but you wonder, right? You wonder if some of the things that you hear may.
Now, did they feel that's a good relationship?
Right, right,
something that was helping Tatis or not? There's a lot of factors that go into that.
It's like your parents would probably love to get you away from me. You know what I'm saying? As I try to corrupt you.
I think everyone feels like you've been a good influence.
Do you think so? All right, good.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Really brought me out of my shell.
That's true. You were in a shell for many, many years.
Long time.
Many
years.
Let's
go to Mark. You were next up here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
I'm of the fact that, you know what? I stay the course, stay with what we have. There's really nobody out there that is worth anything. I mean, if we could just get Soto to stop running through stop signs.
Oh, that was a sign.
That was a go sign.
That was a go sign.
He ran through the go sign.
That was a go sign.
Hey, and if Grisham couldn't, can give us some of his late inning heroics, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But I don't see anything out there that you're going to get for Hader or Snell. I mean, getting rid of Snell right now is, we don't have another starter. We don't have another starter that can give us what he's given us.
If he walks, though, you know that at the end of the season he's a free agent, and he walks, and all you get for him is a compensatory pick. And I don't know exactly what the pick would look like, where it would fall. I don't think it's anything to make you excited. That's the risk you run.
You're not going to be like, well, thank God Snell's gone because we got this draft.
I think it's actually worse because the Padres are over the luxury tax.
So the pick's worse.
Hurts their compensatory pick, even in free agency. I do want to make one point from what Mark said. Juan Soto is not to blame for what happened in the 8th inning.
Yeah, no kidding.
Not at all. Just think about the alternative.
A 4th round pick.
What if Matt Williams is giving him the go sign and he stops? And the ball had gotten past the center fielder.
Are we still so mad?
Or the throw is so off target and that he would have scored easily. And I can see why Juan Soto's going, really go? I mean, I didn't even get a good jump. I was going back towards second base, but my back is completely to what's going on. Juan Soto can't see what's going on behind him in center field. That's why you have a third base coach
to be the eyes,
And the player rounding third absolutely has to trust that guy as the third base coach and do what he says. You'd be foolish to do anything else. If he said to stop and you went, well, that's on you. And if he says to go and you stop, well, it would have been great last night if Juan Soto had done that. I mean, Matt Williams would be thanking him today after a one-hop throw to the catcher, and they all knew you would have been out by a mile. But thank goodness you ignored me and stopped. But you just can't do that if you're a Major League Baseball player. You got to go with what the guy is telling you. The guy whose eyes are on the play, who has read thousands of those situations in his career and is standing there for a reason. You got to trust that man and do what he's saying. So that is not on Juan Soto at all in that situation.
Yeah. John Heyman just tweets, one mystery team on Justin Verlander has been uncovered.
Dun, dun, dun.
The San Diego Padres. Can he pitch today? If he can pitch today, do the deal. If he can't, would you do? How much would you spend?
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to trade for every Rockies pitcher and they'd have like no time to get anyone else?
We'd probably still lose the bullpen day.
No,
probably still lose.
You trade for every bullpen guy.
Every guy.
You're facing position players all day because you gave them no chance. You overwhelm them.
We
with
win
deals.
3-1.
We want every single one of your pitchers, but we need them right now before game time. And you have to throw position players in this game.
Still like their chances.
I don't want Justin Verlander.
Lord Baseball reporting.
Not only is he scheduled to make, I believe, $43 million next year,
God.
but if he pitches 140 innings,
gets like another
crazy, $35 million more after that.
Good God,
Steve Cohen, what are you doing, baby? Holy cow!
The Padres are not,
and those incentives they carry over, right? Like Padres can go, oh no, we didn't make that deal.
Now, if the Padres were like 3 or 4 games up, first place, and looking for that ace
You're like,
in the
bring it,
postseason.
let's go.
Hey, go! You're shoving all your chips to the table.
You get Kate Upton,
but you want to give top prospects more state-of-the-art cash for an aging. What is he?
49
years old. I just don't. I say don't do it.
AJ negotiate a Kate Upton appearance on the Ben and Woods program.
I mean, when AJ does it, I'll be rationalizing it somehow tomorrow.
100. But... Oh, we just got one of the best pitchers of all time in here beating our chest because we got. I will say, yesterday watching all these moves, I was pacing around the house going, give me something. I need something. Like an addict just knocking on the door. It's awful. I hate this time of year, and I love it so much. All right, we got to go.
All right, we will come back with Jesse Agler next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. It was a late night for our next guest. Expecting a 5:40 start, 6:40 Mountain Time.
We all
didn't
were.
end up starting until 9 p.m. in Denver. Yet he's up with us and will join us. Talk to Jesse Agler right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Couple problems in the North County. Northbound side of the 15, just before the 78, crash over the right shoulder. Couple vehicles involved. Also, northbound 5 coastline, right before Palomar Airport Road. We have reports of a stalled vehicle in middle lanes. I'm Kelly Danick. Lieutenant Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
This hour on The Fan brought to you by Cars.com. Whether you're looking for the perfect summer road trip car or something you can zip around in, visit Cars.com today. They have over 2 million cars for your 2 million summer possibilities. Head to Cars.com. Check out the possibilities. Cars.com. Where to next? And we are headed out to Denver, Colorado, joined by the voice of the Padres. He's with us every Tuesday morning, Jesse Agler, on our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Fan Hotline. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine.
What do you do to fill the time?
We got a little loopy last night. It was a longer one of waiting around. But, I think the last time we had a longish rain delay was in Philadelphia, and John Kruk came into our booth and sort of provided like free entertainment for a while there. And last night, Ryan Spilborghs, our good buddy from the Rockies broadcast team, he just kind of wandered in, and we talked to him for probably an hour, just kind of messing around. Now, 20 of those 60 minutes were on the air. We decided to help Sam fill some time during the rain delay. We were going to come on and do like a top of the hour update. And we asked Billy to come on with us. And so we just kind of, chewed it over with him for a little while. And yeah, you talk baseball, you eat more than you probably should, drink more coffee than you probably should. But, it's better than a doubleheader. I'll say that. And with the state of the Padre bullpen going into last night being what it was, a worst case scenario was probably starting the game, having a rain delay and losing Seth Lugo. That could have been disastrous for like the next several days if that happened. So my mentality was sort of like, all right, let's wait this thing out because we don't want that to happen. And then, I don't think anybody is a fan of a doubleheader really. So, it was kind of like, all right, I'd rather start late tonight than have to be right back here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to play a split doubleheader or something like that. So from that standpoint, you just sort of sit back and you take whatever Mother Nature's going to give you.
Yeah, I kept hearing that the rain was actually worse during the game than it was during the rain delay. Was that your observation as well, that they might as well have just started it on time and they were going to play through that amount of rain?
It's in fairness to them, this is like one of the more difficult places to forecast. And, it sort of looked like, all right, the heavy stuff on the radar was going to move away. And then the thing just sort of like stalled over Coors Field, right? So like you thought it was going to be gone and then it wasn't. And it just kept going and going. I'll say this, during the delay, there was probably more lightning than there was during the game. I don't know how far away it was. I guess far enough that they weren't too concerned about it because there was some lightning during the game. But it was a pretty steady rain. But I'll tell you what, we've taken on this broadcast, we've taken some shots at the grounds crew here before because they've not always made great decisions when it comes to pregame delays. But they, I thought, handled last night about as well as they could. They also kept the field in pretty incredible shape, all things considered. It was playable. It wasn't ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but when you consider what could have been from a weather standpoint last night, it is what it is. Basically played 9 to midnight, and that's not the end of the world for these guys.
The Rockies had to play on that field too, Jesse. And while, I hated that it started and watching the rain, just pour down on these guys all night long. They had to play in it too. They found a way to win. We didn't. I really liked our chances there with the bases loaded, nobody out in the 10th inning, and Padres fall to 0-10 in extra inning games. And that one and the 4-game elusive winning streak are the two that they blow my mind. They absolutely blow my mind, and I'm sure they do the same for you.
They do. And there's probably, a Venn diagram that explains those two things. Some overlap at least, right?
Sure.
Just sort of the kinds of games that they've struggled in. And odds are, I guess, at some point in a 4-game stretch, you're going to have a close game or an extra inning game. And they've just really struggled in those two departments this year. I mean, it's certainly not the first time, we've been down this road. That was their 7th 3-game winning streak of the season. The fact that they haven't won 4 in a row is mind-blowing. I mean, that's the number I've dropped on every like visiting announcer we've seen in the last few weeks, and their eyes just like bulge out of their head.
They don't believe it.
It's like I have to clarify it 3 times. They're like, wait. They haven't won 4 straight, and then they all say the A's have won 7 in a row. And I say, yes, I know the A's have won 7 in a row. It's literally unbelievable, I think, to people in baseball, and I'm sure to the fan base, that this team hasn't won 4 consecutive games. The extra inning thing, you know, you probably have to dig a little bit deeper into it. I thought the first, I don't know, maybe 7 of them all had kind of a consistent theme, which was they just couldn't execute offensively. Then the next couple, they did execute offensively, but weren't able to win it because of other reasons. And then obviously last night, you have the bases loaded, nobody out in the top of the 10th inning. You got to score there. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. The only, positive thing I can say coming out of this is, for all the extra inning losses, for all the difficult losses this team has had all season long, they've been knocked down over and over and over again. They do keep getting up. None of these things have ended their season. None of these things have, sent them on some sort of death spiral where you say, all right, it's all over now. They keep hanging around. And, obviously hanging around is not the goal of this season with the expectations that we all had coming into it, but hanging around is better than being down on the mat. And that's not where they're at. So that's all right now.
Couple of head scratchers last night. Jesse, wanted to get your thought. Obviously, Matt Williams sending Juan Soto there in the top of the 8th inning. I heard the explanation. I still felt like, I mean, yes, if it's going to be somewhat close, I totally get it. But when it was that far away, that seemed like a weird one. And then the Manny tag in the bottom of the 10th inning. I've never really seen a play like that where a ball was so securely in the glove. The tag was placed for such a long period of time. It was taken off the guy, and then the ball comes out, not seemingly knocked out by anything or anyone. It was a weird play, and I wasn't sure what to make of it.
It was a weird play for sure. My sense was they got it right. Now, I want to throw this out there. Not making excuses for me and Tony, but it's relevant. The monitor that we have in Denver, and this is often the case in the road booths around the league. Some places are good, some are not. We have one little monitor between us, about the size of an iPad mini. And the picture quality is that of something from about 12, 15 years ago. So we did not get like the greatest look at the replay, that they were showing on television. I always laugh because, we're like struggling sometimes with these fuzzy pictures, trying to interpret it. And I always imagine, somebody sitting at home with their 90-inch television in crystal clear high definition going, what are these idiots talking about? Like, it's clear as day, but for us, it's not. But what you described is pretty much what we saw. Maybe it was like, the contact of the feet first slide and the glove just coming up and the ball scored it out. But you're right, it was weird. I understood the challenge. I understood Manny's argument, saying, hey, it's on the transfer. The play was already over. You start kind of waiting until like football, what is a catch territory with all of that. I think I've really only seen the transfer thing called when the guy puts his bare hand into the glove, which was not the case last night. So it was a weird one, certainly. And look, those things happen. Like, teams have weird moments like that. Teams have sends around third base that don't work. Teams have errors. You still have to win those games sometimes. And the Padres were in position to win that game. They didn't lose last night because Matt Williams was aggressive sending Juan Soto. Didn't help, obviously. They didn't lose last night because of that error. To me, at the end of the day, you got the bases loaded, 2 out, bases loaded, nobody out in the top of the 10th inning. You don't score. And you could have survived all those little things that didn't go right earlier in the game.
I'm not going to question one single solitary thing that Manny Machado chooses to do with his baseball glove ever. After the double plays he turned earlier in the game, and in a sloppy, wet, moist field with a wet ball, I'm not going to question what Manny needs to get his hand down there. Well, shut your pie hole, right? Like,
did anybody say that? Are people really saying that?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which people would they?
Oh, they're in our chat. I mean, I'm not going to question anything that man does with a glove after watching the defense he turns in on a nightly basis.
If you collected the 30 infield coaches from the 30 teams right now, I don't think any of them would say that.
100%. It's absurd to me. But you're right. I mean, plenty of chances to win that baseball game. Again, Austin Gomber, not a guy that should go in and overpower you in the first few innings and just getting by with that 90-mile-an-hour heater, and it's just tough, man. It's a tough pill to swallow last night's game.
Got a starting pitcher for you guys tonight.
Oh,
Padres will start Pedro Avila.
All right, the opener. Okay.
I think second time, Jesse, that Avila has had a chance. Did okay his first time. What, like 3 shutout innings or something? Trying to remember his last time out.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of what we had heard. I think this was probably the idea had they not had to use him last night. And credit to Seth Lugo for being as good as he was, being able to pitch as deep as he did last night, because he did keep them in it. Yeah, we've seen Avila twice, both in July. I think both times in kind of the bulk or long relief kinds of roles. He's looked good. Colorado is obviously its own beast, and you never quite know how it's going to go on a given night, one way or the other. Like we said, yesterday was great with Lugo. They got to piece this thing together right now. They basically have 4 healthy starting pitchers. You can get away with that over the course of a week if you have a day off. The day off does not line up in their favor this week, not until Thursday. So, you put it out there. This is, again, you'd love to have a little bit more organizational depth, in terms of a starter, who's got major league experience that you could turn to, but that is something of a luxury. And teams have games like this. Most every team has games like this. They have situations like this. And one way or another, you got to figure it out. Look, last night, they got everything they could have ever dreamed of out of their starting pitcher. Didn't win the game. So it's not always as simple as that. We'll see how it goes tonight with Avila.
Well, one of our favorite weekly segments is the Incorporator.
Quickly.
Yeah, one more before we get there.
Just how's the weather today?
Oh, yeah, good question.
You know what? Honestly, I haven't even looked. I mean, look, it's
Does
always
it really matter? It could
here.
be beautiful and blue right now and rainy later, or it could be rainy now and beautiful and blue.
There were no threatening clouds yesterday at any point until about 4:30 in the afternoon. So it's monsoon season here. They're having one of their heaviest rain summers of the last however many years here. It's unpredictable here. The mountains wreak havoc on the predictability of the weather here. So, you take it as it comes. I think everybody knows that, by the way.
And to be fair, it absolutely dumped rain on me last night on my way home from Channel 10.
Here.
We had the monsoons here as well, just pouring as hard as I can remember in North County, at least. In San Diego, I don't know what totals we got last night, but Denver is not the only place that gets that in the summer.
Do you go to, or have you been? I probably have asked you this because I went to Denver and I went to Sam's number 3, the diner. Have you been there?
Mm-hmm. I have. Cassavell was raving about it yesterday. That's a good spot here.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you're taken care of.
I've been there
That's
as
all
well.
I care
Jesse, though, is so disciplined. He probably ordered the cottage cheese and fruit.
I'll have the salmon omelet. Thank you very much.
All right, Jesse, it's time for the Incorporator. Definitely
cheese, like a
with
psychopath.
With egg white.
Yeah, with egg white. You psychopath.
I'll never forgive you for not even tasting the ice cream in Philadelphia.
It's almost unforgivable at this point. We get it. You're fit, okay? Like, give yourself a
one
break.
who's lost 33 pounds, and I still can't believe it.
I don't want it. You had to get that in.
I did.
Jesse, I don't know if you've heard this,
Nice
but
work.
Ben has
Thank
lost
you.
a lot of weight. It's everybody to know.
Way to be, man. Way to be.
All right,
Take care of yourself.
Incorporator time with
Lord.
Jesse. He gets a word that somehow he has to work into a baseball broadcast. Sounds funny, but he always does it with aplomb. But
Yes,
that
he
is not
does.
your word. Paulie, if you would play the word, please.
Gouache.
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 It's
too easy.
Do you know that one? Gouache.
Like squash or
No,
different?
no. Gouache
Gouache.
is an art term. It's a method of painting using opaque pigments ground in water and thickened with a glue-like substance, kind of a watercolor format of art painting, a gouache painting.
Gouache, spell it.
Gouache. Gouache.
Gouache.
Like a goo.
Was that made famous by a certain artist?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, just as he looks that up, Jesse, he was going to give you, by the way, bunghole.
No, that's a wine term.
It's he was looking at
I was
wine
not gonna
terms
give that
this
to
morning.
him.
He goes, "What
That
about
was to make you laugh
bunghole?"
because I know that you would have thought that was
Wine
funny.
flows in and out of barrels through an
Well,
opening called a bunghole.
Yeah.
I said, Ben, he's not going
He's
to
not
do
going to
it.
do that one. I knew that.
They had a
I
hard
knew
enough
it.
time getting him to do titular, so he's not going to do bunghole.
Henry Matisse did some
Matisse.
gouache paintings.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I went
Of
last
course
year.
you did.
Yeah. I was going to say.
Last summer when we were in New York, the Met had a great Matisse thing that I went and checked out.
You
a big
go to
exhibit.
museums on the road too. You really do, don't you?
Oh yeah, for
There's
sure.
some museums on the road as well.
I bought a book. I bought a book on this Matisse exhibit. It was really fascinating. I'll lend it to you.
JMW Turner as well. Some of the works of JMW Turner,
of course,
exhibiting the gouache style of painting.
Clearly.
Can't believe you idiots forgot about that.
Thank you, Jesse.
Jesse, have a good one.
You too, guys.
Jesse Agler, voice of the Padres on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads.
I should have let you do it. Give him bung.
I was never going to do that. That was to make you laugh, Woods.
Sure.
Jesse and I operate on a slightly different level.
Then what?
You.
How?
It's just a little less crudeness, I would think.
Oh my God.
You like, I get that a lot of the audience enjoys your somewhat crude sense of humor. I get it. I am not a man of the people like you are. I align more with Jesse. We have slightly more refined tastes. His might even be too refined for me, though. The art museums
He's
and the
just
lack of
digging
ice
himself in. I love art. Love it.
Do you love art?
it? Love.
You're an art guy?
I love
We've never
art.
really discussed art. I
Let's
mean,
talk-
music is art.
Let's talk Mark Rothko coming up next on Bed of Woods. Let's talk Jean-Michel Basquiat. Let's talk all of the art that you've never bothered
I've
to
never
ask
really-
me
yes,
about.
no, I haven't.
The art that Jackson
Sounds like
Pollock
you're,
to the world.
Sounds like you're much more well versed in the art
Wassily
world than I am.
Kandinsky. I mean, these are heroes of mine. Mark Rothko is a hero of mine.
Do you like more of the modernism?
Do you know Mark Rothko?
Not personally.
Nobody does. Departed this planet. I would surprise you, Ben.
You always surprise me. You always surprise me.
Little nuggets everywhere. You never know what you might find. I love art. No, I do. I'm trying to get my kids, and Bo's really into it too. I'm trying to expand that a little bit, but yeah,
Not really an
music.
impressionist person.
No, I'm not
a
really
huge
either.
fan.
My wife, when we were in France, dragged me out to Monet's gardens, and that was nice. It was pretty to see all that, but that doesn't really do much for me. I need something a little more.
Did you do the
raw.
paint by numbers when you were a kid?
Oh yeah,
Mom,
yeah.
when you did
And the thing
the
is,
paint by numbers.
I don't have an artistic bone. I can't draw you.
Oh no, I couldn't make the
anything.
paint by numbers
But
thing look right
I
at
think
all.
that's why I love it so much, because I look at that. Everyone says, "Oh, I can do that in my garage." No, you couldn't.
Someone
You-
who can
you
take
could
an
not.
empty canvas and
Yes.
just create
something stunning.
Yeah,
I love it.
It is,
Oh,
it is
love
an
it.
amazing, amazing skill. All right, gouache. Gouache. The incorporator word for today. All right, we'll come back. Ryan will report. Paulie's got some headlines for us, including some football news, the battle in Indy, and more coming up next on The Fan.
It is funny to me, Benjamin. Welcome back to Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. It is funny to me seeing there's a lot of people tweeting, we don't need pitching, guys. And I'm like, did you see who's pitching today? Pedro Avila is towing the slab. I mean, these games are massive. They're all massive from here on out. And every time I hear a report about Michael Wacha, God love his soul, he threw 18 pitches today, and he looked pretty good, and he needs to do that at least one more time. Oh, and also Seth Lugo's only gone 101 innings twice in his career, and you need pitching. You absolutely need pitching. I'm not surprised that the rumors that AJ's in on Eduardo Rodriguez or even Justin Verlander for that matter. It's a bit shocking given that he's, my age. That's the only shocking thing about it. But if the Mets eat a ton of dough, what are we talking about here? Of course we need pitching. Pedro Avila is starting a game for you today.
Of course, that's one of the reasons I think that it would be foolish. If you don't have that pitcher here in time to take this start, and you've got Wacha, who seemingly is closing in on coming back.
Well,
you're looking to add a starting pitcher that would probably
my man's been out for like 6 weeks with a tired shoulder.
I get it, but I mean, you're going to have to bump then one of your starters to the bullpen. Seth Lugo, who's been very effective for you, would be the likely candidate, I guess, to go to the bullpen. But he's done so well as a starter. So, hey, maybe you're going with a 6-man rotation then the rest of the way. But that means whoever you acquire, if it's Justin Verlander, would only get about 8 starts. All right, the Padres, we've already showed you, are losing about 40% of their quality starts. So let's say Justin Verlander pitches a quality start every time. You can expect him to go about 5-3 the rest of the way, which is going to do what for a team that's 5 games out in the wild card? Is that really helping you when you are then adding possibly another, 70+ million in payroll?
What's
over the
been
next
their
2
record
years?
in the spot start bullpen day?
Not good.
3-10.
Not good. I wish they had. If they were going to trade for a starter, they should have done it and had him here in time for this game.
They did.
But now you may not need another spot starter again. You might even not need one for the rest of the season. With Michael Wacha, the reports yesterday on his throwing session at Petco Park went well, and he could be back in the rotation as early as next week. Maybe you need one more. Do you really want to pay Justin Verlander for 3 years so you don't have one spot starter coming in?
I know.
Is one game going to make the difference for the Padres this season? How are you going to win these games? Can he do better than Joe Musgrove and Blake Snell have done lately? I mean, no one's pitched better than Blake Snell. He wins about half of the games he pitches. Is Justin Verlander going to win more games than any other Padres starter?
No, you can't. He's not going to win. His wins count for one as well.
On offense.
Sure. But I'm not surprised that what I'm saying is I'm not saying they should do it. I'm saying I'm not surprised to hear that he's in on pitching. That's it. I'm not surprised at all to hear that he's in on starting pitching when you have Darvish, who bounced back really nicely, but has been shaky as this year. Like you have Blake Snell, who, let's be honest, as magical as he's been, has been shaky the last few. You can't look at Blake's starts and go 7 walks, 5 walks, 5 walks, and not say that he's been shaky. He's gotten out of it because he's got elite stuff.
Fair, but
Joe Musgrove's
those
been
are the
phenomenal.
last 3 starts, and about the 5 or 6 before that,
Right.
he wasn't even walking anyone.
Yeah, but where's the arrow pointing? The walks will get you. You know that. Everybody that's ever played baseball, they will get you.
Even
Blake knows it too, and he knows he can't.
Doesn't mean he's going to keep walking guys every single time.
Which is right, but it doesn't mean that he won't.
Doesn't mean that Justin Verlander's been that great either. What's Justin Verlander done?
Check his
season?
last 7. His arrow is pointing straight up to the stratosphere. His arrow is pointing straight up. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm not. What I'm telling you is I'm not surprised that they're in on starting pitching. I'm not at all. I think it'd be foolish not to. Again, I listened to Scan's report last night. Yeah, Wacha threw 18 pitches today, and he's going to do that again. And then maybe he's ready to come back. We're done. We're done at that point. If we're waiting again another 10 days for Michael Wacha.
I mean, I'm okay with starting pitching, but I was really feeling like it was more of a back of the rotation type piece.
I thought so too. I absolutely thought you're talking a Lorenzen or something. I didn't think you were talking to Justin Verlander. But now that it's here, I'm not surprised to hear that AJ's made that call.
Now he should be in on these calls. At the very least, drive up the price for the Dodgers if they are in on it. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you at least talk about it and get it
out there? Let it leak.
Ammunition. Like, All right. Well, they're Padres. You don't want the Padres
the
to
thing
get them.
is like,
you want to make the price as high as possible for one of your potential rivals.
When does that ever slow the Dodgers down? When is it? It's never going to slow the Mets down, right? Steve Cohen could literally call AJ Preller today and say, "I'll pay all of this."
It might not slow them down, but hey, if you can cost the Dodgers one more prospect in the deal, that's a good thing for the Padres.
But guess what? They have 5 more ready to go.
Fine, but it's still the right strategy for the Padres is to drive up the price.
Absolutely. I'm not looking at that. I'm not coming away from the trade deadline going, "We did it. We cost the Dodgers a prospect, and what a successful trade deadline." And they now have Justin Verlander. I'm not going to be pouching myself for that. Like, well, at least we drove the price up on him. The Red Sox did that to the Yankees for 2 decades until they finally won one of their own. It just does, like, I'm not surprised to hear that he's in on these big moves. I'm not. It's AJ Preller. Like, we know he's in on the big splash. We know he is. I would pay an ungodly amount of money to be sitting in the room when he has to walk into Peter Seidler's office and go, "Can I get like $40 million today for Justin Verlander? And I need to do that. We're moving this guy for Eddie Rodriguez, and he's also needs to get a bat. The bat to me is of premier importance. If we come away at the end of the day with no bat, I think I'm going to lose my mind."
All right, here's your trending up on Justin Verlander over the last 30 days. 30 innings, 2.08 ERA, 1.06 whip, 3-1 record. Very good.
Very good.
Making the Padres' third starter over the last, behind Snell and Musgrove in terms of effectiveness.
Yeah.
But, it's Justin Verlander. He's also 57 years old.
57
now?
years old.
Deborah says, "I'm making it too easy. Jesse's in Denver. They had a rain delay yesterday. You give him an incorporator word dealing with water? I thought this was supposed to be a challenge. I can maybe even hear him comparing their poor monitor to a gouache painting."
You should have gone with bunghole, now that I think about it.
Let's go with Paul and some Reindl Report headlines.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a
All right.
All right.
Gentlemen, we'll start in the NFL. You guys been following what's going on with the Colts and Jonathan Taylor?
Yes.
Very fascinating.
Jim Irsay is a lunatic.
He is something else, man. Colts owner Jim Irsay. So they've been kind of beefing here for a while, and it's getting public, and it's just we've been talking about the running backs a lot over the last week or so, and these guys getting paid what they're worth. Jonathan Taylor, maybe the best running back in football.
He's up there.
If not top
He's
3, top 5. He has just been killing it ever since he got there, and he's got 1 more year left before he finishes his rookie contract and becomes a free agent. And he wants to be traded. He's sick and tired of how he's been treated in Indianapolis, and Jim Irsay has said, "We will not trade Jonathan Taylor. That is a certainty. Not now, not in October." And I don't know if Taylor's going to sit out and hold out all season. I don't know what's going on, but the Colts are saying that because he injured himself, they're going to put him on the what's the list? The non-football
injury list. Yeah.
They're going to put him on the non-contact injury list because he got hurt in January, I think it was, working out on his own. And the team is saying, well, since you worked out on your own and got hurt on your own, we don't have to pay you anything.
But every football player works out on their own. They're expected to work
Yeah,
out
you
on their
have
own.
to. You can't show up looking like me.
You want them to not work out at
I'm
all
ready.
on their own during the
I thought I was
offseason?
here. I thought I was here to get in shape. No. So he's looking for. He's looking for. What is he looking for? What is Jim Irsay looking for?
Oh, I don't know what Irsay's looking for. Taylor's looking to make some money. He's scheduled to earn $4.3 million this year. That would put him at 18th among running back salaries heading into the 2023 season. since he got there. He's 24 years old. He led the NFL with 1,800 yards in 2021. Since he entered the league, he's top 5 in touches, scrimmage yards per game, and touchdowns. He's earned a paycheck.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to. Now, they're saying they could, if he holds out this year and they put him on the non-football performance list, that would postpone free agency another year. It's not like he would just sit out this year and then become a free agent next year. He would still have to play out that one extra year.
And that year on a running back is valuable.
Oh, yeah, massively valuable. And so he wants to be traded, and the Colts say they're not going to do it. It's just a
stalemate.
A really stupid game of chicken.
Saw a funny tweet the other day about this from an unlikely source. You know who James Holzhauer is? Smarmy Jeopardy champion.
Oh,
James
yes. Yes.
He tweeted, Jonathan Taylor wants to play for a GM who builds his team around a star running back, so he's requested a trade to 1997 because that doesn't happen anymore. I mean, we've seen what the modern NFL is like. And did you see Jim Irsay's quote about this whole thing? It says, if I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor is out of the league, no one's going to miss us.
It's crazy. Just crazy.
The league goes on. We know that. This is harsh. This is not a friendly back and forth between owner and player right now.
No, it sucks, man. All right, we'll keep it in the NFL. The Super Bowl in 2024, Super Bowl 58. It's going to be played in Las Vegas. CBS has the rights for the next Super Bowl, and they have announced the first alternate telecast. You've seen this on ESPN, does it a ton. College football national championship, right? They'll have like 8 different, they call it the mega cast.
Or the Manning cast. Or
There's the coach's room,
yeah.
the film room, and all of that. They've never done that for the Super Bowl, but since CBS has the rights, they are going to do the alternate telecast, and they're going with the kids version. It's going to be the Nickelodeon presentation, where they have all of the overlays.
They've done this in the regular season.
Yeah, that's cool. I think they even did a playoff game last year or 2 years ago for the first time. So they've expanded into the postseason before, but this will be the first time it'll ever be on for the Super Bowl. And, you know, they have the kids sideline reporters. They have the slime in the end zone and stuff on TV.
That's a good bit.
It's a good bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's a smart move for the NFL. It's going to, if you can get any kids
do you need more Super Bowl coverage? Isn't it really the most?
It's not more, it's just alternative.
Isn't this but you already have the most captive audience in America. Like
take your household, for example.
Yeah.
Is Bo more likely to watch it? Or
maybe
if Bo was more likely to watch it, wouldn't you guys just put on the Super Bowl Nickelodeon broadcast?
Yeah, I mean,
he's not going to change it too much for you.
He likes the regular. I think a kid baseball broadcast would drive him nuts because he is obsessed with Don, who he got to meet the other day. And he's obsessed with Jesse Hagler. And he gave Jesse his gotta go because he does it at home. And I said, do your bit for him. And he did it. Jesse goes, oh my God, yes. He goes, I'll tell you what, you can have my job after your playing career ends. And Bo was just grinning from ear to ear. So I think Bo's maybe a little more of a traditionalist than a lot of kids his age.
Speaking of Nickelodeon, what is it? And I think this is kids and adults alike, but the visceral enjoyment we have for someone getting a bucket of something dumped on their heads.
Oh, we love it.
I mean, from the sliming on Double Dare all the way to dumping of the Gatorade on coaches.
Yeah.
It's never stopped. I mean, from the first time it's happened,
it's great.
People won't stop doing it because there's always an enjoyable reaction to seeing some of the ice bucket challenge. We love seeing buckets of things poured on people's heads.
Yeah, I'm with that. Double Dare is my greatest regret in life that I did not get on that show. I would have dominated that show. I watched it every day.
You got on Wipeout.
Shut up.
Didn't go so.
Which is adult Double Dare.
No.
No,
there was trivia in Double Dare, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, I would watch all of those Nickelodeon
I loved
children's game shows.
So
and just,
much,
I almost got upset watching
I was furious.
it. I'm like,
who are
you
these
idiots?
Well, I'd be like, who are these spoiled little turds that get to go on this show?
Live in front of a live studio audience in Orlando, Florida.
All I wanted, man.
I'd watch Legends of the Hidden Temple and just screaming at my 7-year-old Paul, just screaming because I'm like, no, you idiots.
That's all I wanted. All I wanted.
Somewhat unrelated, but did you see the new, I think we have it on ABC, the new game show where they have kids and their grandparents and they ask the kids like the old person questions, and they ask the grandparents like
Ooh.
young person questions. I forget
like that premise,
I
though.
forget what it's called. Generation Gap is
That sounds
what's
great.
it called.
I'm in on that.
And they have to. Kelly Ripa hosts it on ABC, and it's called Generation Gap with kids and grandparents competing for cash.
All right. And finally, we all enjoy a good sandwich here on this show. I've got my Mount Rushmore of San Diego sandwiches, and I don't think Subway is on my list.
We could do an entire show in the off season on sandwiches.
And we
Can we do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Sandwich show. We bring in sandwiches. We talk sandwich. Nothing but sandwiches.
Yep.
Subway's not on my list, but if you do enjoy Subway, and based on the amount of commercials I still see them rolling out, people enjoy Subway.
Very much, yeah.
Got a way that you can get free sandwiches for life, and it starts today. All you have to do, they're looking for one lucky fan. Sandwiches for life from Subway. If you commit to legally changing your name, your first name, to Subway, you got to go through it.
El Cheapo over there is getting a.
Yep, you got to go through the
I love
process.
the good Subway in 1985. It's gone a little downhill, I think, in the last 40 years. Not worth changing my name for.
Contest starts
But it depends on what
today.
your last name is.
Subway Higgins.
Who has Subway
It's a
Higgins?
great nickname.
Yeah.
Subway Woods. You got the WW there.
Subway
Subway
Woods.
Woods is not bad. Subway Reindl.
You don't want that.
Subway
as a,
Reindl.
What do you want that?
Subway Klug.
What's the there's a connotation. Like, why do they call you Subway Woods? What do you do down there?
I think an S last name or Subway Stevens. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I'd rather be Jersey Mike's Reindl. but
Jersey Mike's
Jersey Mike
Reindl.
Reindl.
Yeah,
Jersey Mike.
Agruza's Reindl.
like it.
Go to Agruza's if you haven't. So yeah, you go to subwaynamechange.com starting today, and you get the unlimited subs. You get $50,000 worth of Subway gift cards. Is how they're gonna exchange that for you.
Is that subs for live? Does that get you enough
So
subs?
if you had one sub per day,
one a day,
every day, it lasts you, I think they said about 15 to 20 years. That's one every day. So $50,000 worth of Subway.
If you
gift
had
cards.
one sub a day for 15 years, probably would be the rest
If you
of your
had,
life.
it says if you had Subway for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, 3 subs a day, it would only last you about 7 or 8 years.
Still, would probably, if you had 3 subs a day, it's probably all you need with 7 years.
Yeah,
So
they
that's true.
will. This is good news for El Cheapo over here. They'll even cover the $750 cost of changing your name legally. So it really won't cost you anything.
Can I add Avo, though? I like to add Avo.
Just call it
Avocado.
Avocado.
Just say avocado.
For the California listeners.
Just say avocado.
Can't say add Avo. I like
Go to break. I like going to break.
I like when they
On
leave it
time.
in slices as opposed to just mashing it up into. It's not quite guacamole. It's just an avocado paste. I'd rather have the slices of, but they do fall out sometimes when they're in slices. Well, we'll save this all for the sandwich show.
Yeah, after
in
the Padres
off-season.
are eliminated officially, then yeah, we can do the
Does it-
sandwich show.
All right, Xander Bogaerts was kind of wore the horns yesterday. Does it make any difference to you that he's willing to own it? What he said after the game, we'll get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
We're way late here.
Not way late, a little bit late.
Way late. All right, we're Ben and Woods. We'll be right back.
No, we got like 6 minutes here. We're good. Wanted to talk about Xander Bogaerts last night. I mean, all the ways that
he disappointed us.
He disappointed us. Yeah. Let's see. Ground into double plays.
Twice.
Did that twice. Had the big error dropping the ball in the 5th inning.
They charge him with an error on that?
They did charge him
yeah,
with an error.
should've.
They're one of 3 errors committed by the San Diego Padres.
Trent had one in center.
Xander had one, and Manny on the tag. The third one. The team that has really led baseball in outs above average and has played stellar defense all along. You can say they found a way to lose one on defense last night in Colorado, but Xander in particular has been struggling. And now he did get the hit in a clutch situation in the 8th inning with Juan Soto on second base that also led to a disappointing end of the inning. That's not on Xander Bogaerts. No. That's on Matt Williams for sending Juan Soto. But at the end of the game, Xander didn't shy away from reporters. He didn't hide in the training room at Coors Field. He went out and answered the questions and had this to say after the Padres loss.
This one feels even more worse because this one's on me, and I felt great going into the day and just didn't do my job. And just one of those days where you have a bad day at work and I played like trash. So tomorrow, looking forward to tomorrow. Thank God it's the next day. So tomorrow, hopefully it goes better.
Felt good. It was just one of those days. You have a bad day at work. I played like trash.
It's on me.
Can't relate.
This one's on me. I played like trash.
I've had many a bad show, but I guess you appreciate the candor and you appreciate the accountability. Had a couple of those earlier in the season. I think we all expect more of Xander Bogaerts. I think he expects more out of himself, and there's no excuses. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, everyone's playing with a wet ball. A lot of guys join new teams. It's just we're kind of out of ideas.
And Shohei Ohtani had a crummy series against the Padres in San Diego. Even the best player in baseball is going to have a few days in the year where it's not a good day, not a good outing, not a good, not good in the field for whatever reason. You have bad days.
Yeah, leading Major League Baseball and grounding into double plays is tough.
That's always a tough one for me because the difference between a ground double play and a ground ball single is nothing.
So what is that? What would that tell you as a hitter? Like the Eric Hosmer, it's the same thing. I mean, you'd look at Eric Hosmer's StatCast page and hard hit rate would be 94%. Like no one barreled the ball more than Eric Hosmer. But where did he hit it? He pounded it into the ground, which again, I with Xander, I think guys, we've seen it with Jake Cronenworth this year. When he tries to lift the ball, he gets in a lot more trouble. Xander's never been, Ben, he's not a guy where he's going to go out and hit you 40 home runs. He's never really been that guy. But he, what he is? He's a gap-to-gap guy. So I think, obviously, all these guys want to split gaps every chance they get, and I think that's what he's trying to do. He's just missing. He's just missing a little bit. Still hitting it hard, but Eric Hosmer did that too. And the double play is just the single worst thing that can happen to you as a hitter. It just takes you completely out of the inning almost every time. So I don't look at it like, well,
guys putting the ball in play, and you're like, if you just went up there and watched 3 right down the D,
it's safer.
It's better.
Yeah.
It's
better.
better.
And you look at Tatis, and they scorch that ball to center field. Right over the guy's head. If he gets it a little bit left, a little bit right, that's double, run scores, the whole thing. It's such a game of millimeters. It is. But, pounding the ball, albeit pounding the ball very fast into the ground, really does you no good in today's game.
I'm looking at his StatCast sliders for this season, and it's a mix of everything really: red, pink, blue, white. It's all over the map. His he's not hitting the ball that hard. 23rd percentile in average exit velocity, 20% at hard hit percentage. His XWOB is 47, his XBA 50, so right in the middle there. His strikeout rate, 75%. He's not striking out a ton, better than most. Walk rate is 70, higher than most. Chase rate is low. He's doing well. Defensively, he's actually having a really good season, 91 on outs above average, top 10% of all of baseball. So Defensively, he's doing well. Barrel rate, though, 32. It's low. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but you would expect more from a guy, especially that you're paying that much, is Xander Bogaerts.
No question. And a guy that has done it for so long. He's done it for so long and shared the OPS with runners in scoring position earlier. His career with Boston, he was 830. Here he's 700. So, yeah, I mean, that stings. That's a run producer that you signed that's not producing.
His launch angle is the lowest of his career this year, according to StatCast, about half of where it was 2 years ago when he had one of his better seasons, 12.5 down to 6.4 average, lowest of his entire career, down from 10.2 last year. So that's definitely something that Xander has not done well this year. He's hitting the ball more on the ground, which explains the high double play percentages this year.
Interesting. Well, I mean, he's got to do better.
Yeah,
he's got to do
then
better.
Again, you get in a rut like Jake Cronenworth, and you try to hit the ball in the air too much, you can really mess with your swing and lead to just terrible slumps. So it is a fine line between, we're talking a 3 or 4% difference over the course of the season on launch angle is the difference here between good and bad Xander.
Yep.
It's not night and day. It's gray. It's shades of needing to be better for Xander Bogaerts.
I agree. I mean, I guess I like the accountability better than pointing fingers at other people. But yeah, you got to, it's the beauty of baseball. He gets to come out today and do it again. And, hopefully he has a huge day. We need it desperately.
All right. Well, I don't know what today's game looks like. We know the starting pitcher. We'll talk a little bit more about the matchup for the Padres and the trade deadline, which is now 5 hours and 28 minutes away, and we still have not heard anything. The rumors that continue to fly coming up next with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Pretty boring trade deadline so far. Yeah.
Yes.
There's been nothing going on.
Yeah.
Nothing, and not even just Padres.
I mean, Max Scherzer got dealt.
No, today.
Oh,
today.
The
actual
nothing. Yeah.
The actual, the day of. It is ice cold.
Well, maybe you don't have a lot of procrastinators, and they all wanted to get stuff done early, and now they don't have to worry about the deadline. They're just done.
No, they're just kicking it right now. Just enjoying the fruits of their labor, their early labor, Ben. It's like when you boil water, it takes so long. You wait and you wait, and it's sitting on the stove, and it's a good solid 10, 15 minutes before it gets going. And that's where we are right now. I'm sure at 10:01, things will start exploding as we are out and done for the day.
I mean, I knew it was a possibility that we would go all 4 hours without anything really happening for the Padres. Was a little surprised that we are almost out of here this morning, and there just hasn't been anything.
Paulie called me. I called Paulie yesterday and to go over today's show and said, "Yeah, so we got Jesse. Anything else we're thinking of?" And he goes, "Well, I'm working on the rundown for tomorrow." And I said to him, "I go, listen, it's trade deadline day. Don't break your back.
You don't want to plan a whole lot."
I go, yeah, let's not go nuts planning a bunch of stuff, because if something huge breaks, we're gonna have to scrap it all and throw it away.
Here's some breaking news.
Okay,
Jimmy Garoppolo is having a strong day at Raiders
camp. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's hurtful, is what it is. It's hurtful.
It's been quiet.
You're hurtful,
but there is still 5 hours and 20 minutes.
I cannot get my head into football.
And by the way, of course we'll be on from 2 to 3 today with our roundtable with all the hosts.
Do we still have to do it if nothing happens? Honestly, that's an honest question.
We could. Things usually do happen in that last hour.
Okay, but what if they don't?
Generally, there's stuff that breaks right at the end. 2 or 3 deals. Sometimes one doesn't even come through until after the deadline, but it was turned in before the deadline. It just doesn't get reported until 20, 30 minutes later.
Yeah.
So you do have that window. Obviously, Coach will be on and Gwen and Chris will be on after the roundtable. So it's not like, you're not going to get reported if it doesn't happen in that 2 to 3 window. But yeah, we might not have a ton to talk about. If Padres haven't made any moves as of 2:00, we start that show essentially by saying, well, what does it mean that they haven't done anything at all? And it'll be waiting and looking. We'll all be refreshing Twitter all together. All of the hosts.
Just sitting here in silence.
Coach, Gwen, Chris, Sammy, all refreshing for an hour to see if something goes down at the last second. Or maybe there'll be something the second we walk out this door. Remember, that always happens.
Always.
10:01. We hit 10 o'clock.
It's
10:01 news breaks because they don't like to do it during our show.
Yeah.
They like us to be the last people to get to talk about it at the end of the day. Fair enough?
Yeah, fair enough.
If you missed it earlier, the Padres were at least linked as a team interested in a couple of starting pitching names, Justin Verlander being the big one, Eduardo Rodriguez of the Detroit Tigers being the other one. Woodsy is not opposed to the idea of Justin Verlander.
I never said that.
You are opposed to the idea of Justin Verlander.
I never said that either. I said I'm not surprised that AJ Preller is checking in with Justin Verlander or Eduardo Rodriguez. I do subscribe to the fact, I do agree that a bat is what's desperately needed. But
we agree there.
We agree there. We need a bat. And I looked at some of the names that are remaining, and they do almost less than nothing for me. So unless it's somebody that we were not aware was available and something major is happening, if it's anybody in those, the Tommy Phams of the world, the Seth Browns, some of the guys came off the board yesterday, Candelario to the Cubs. I was never really interested in a CJ Cron. He would have been okay, but again, right-handed guy. I want a left-handed power bat-ish.
Candelario was having one of the better seasons for guys available. He was a DFA guy you could have had for nothing at the beginning of the year, though. So 100%. It's not like there's premium bats available. There really isn't any bats at all that are proven that you can count on. At the best, the Padres would be rolling the dice on someone, hoping they'll either bounce back from a slow first half or will defy some of the numbers or get back to where they have been before. There's no one who you can just plug and play, I would say.
But I do understand the need to always look for another starter, especially a team that has been to the playoffs twice, and ran out of pitching both times, and you look at today's starter, Pedro Avila, you're in a pinch. I get it. Walker's on the shelf. You don't really trust Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers isn't up, right? This isn't a Avila.
No, they have not called anyone up as far as I know.
Again, there still could be moves that happened today. It happened last night. Guys are on their way. I have no idea. But I think you go into today hoping to God the offense can come through and Avila can keep you in the ball
probably
game.
Hill. You probably see Honeywell today at some point, and hope the offense can come through. Now, the Padres absolutely need pitching they can control beyond this season.
Sure. What's Eddie Rodriguez's contract?
That's a good question because the Padres...
Because you would have Verlander for another year, but at a hefty salary, plus the incentives would kick it in another $25 million or something ridiculous.
And you have other things that you'll need to worry about and fill, depending on who leaves in free agency. So he has an opt-out at the end of this season.
Okay. What's he make?
He's making
15.
Base salary 14, luxury tax numbers a little bit higher. If he doesn't opt out, he'd make 18, 16, and 15 the next 3 years.
Okay. So then if he opts in, you get him for 3 more years.
You would get him for 3 more
years.
He's
what, about 29 years old?
He is.
That's a guess.
That's a guess by you, and the actual answer is he is 30.
30.
So not a bad guess. And his numbers this year, he's got a 2.3 WAR, 6-5, 2.95 ERA,
Pretty
better
good.
than his 4.05 career mark, which would make him a good candidate to opt out. You'd want to cash in on those good numbers with a free agent deal. So he might be a rental. Now, we did see where Max Scherzer agreed to opt in when he was traded and waived his no trade clause. You could have a deal where you sign him to an extension. I don't see him just opting in and saying, "Oh yeah, since I'm traded, I'll commit to 3 more years at a fairly reasonable price."
Yeah, I have no idea about this place.
He might all right, throw out that contract and re-sign me to a new deal. That could be something you could talk about doing with a guy like that. But right now, he's really just no better than a rental for a couple of months.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I'm not like I said, I'm not a proponent of it, but I am very understanding as to why you would be knocking at the door on some of these guys. It's been the MO here, and not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what the MO has been. And
home games in a very pitcher-friendly park. Not that Petco Park is
we have
a
pitcher-friendly
park.
park.
But remember that those numbers are not Coors Field or Great American Ballpark. They're Comerica Park where he pitches. So you do
place is way bigger than I thought it was.
You take that with and they brought it in. I mean, that place was nuts how big they made it originally.
Makes Juan Soto's home runs there doubly impressive. I mean, the 470-foot tank he hit off the bricks, just incredible. So I don't know. I don't know how it, you have to be thinking about down the road too. What are you going to commit to him? Are you going to look at an extension for Blake Snell if you don't move him? I don't know. All of these are up in the air. I don't. We as fans, sure, we can look ahead down the road to what next year looks like. I don't know that that's really prudent at this point. There's a lot that can happen between now and then. Win today's baseball game certainly is going to help get this team in the right direction. But I do think, getting another reliever, getting a starting pitcher and a bat, Benny, I think I'd be a pretty happy camper and willing to, throw it out there on the table. If you go out and got a reliever, went out and got a starter, and went out and got a lefty power bat. I know it's a lot to ask. Who knows what the cost would be, but I think, you do that. All right, let's go.
There's one thing I'm looking forward to here at the trade deadline, win or lose today. I will tell you what it is after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
You guys, usually around this time, things start to wind down on the roads, but today, not so much. Looks like they've got eastbound Sorrento Valley Boulevard closed at Roselle Street, all due to a brush fire in the area. Southbound side of the 5 at La Costa, there is a collision blocking lanes. Looks like tow truck is rolling up to help out with that. You're also going to find on the southbound 805 right before Nobel, tow trucks on scene of a collision that is blocking the HOV lane. On northbound side of the 805, right at the westbound King Freeway connector ramp, we have reports of a stalled vehicle partially in lane. Southbound side of the 15, right before Miramar Road, collision involving a couple vehicles there over the right shoulder. We saw this accident on Federal Boulevard on-ramp to westbound King Freeway. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. All right, what I am looking forward to, in fact, even tonight, win or lose after the trade deadline, that we won't be all riding this giant pendulum of buy, sell. Hey, they win, the Padres are going to buy. If they lose, the Padres should sell. I am so tired of that day-to-day emotional swings that we've been going through. Now, I'm still going to be disappointed if they lose. I'll still be encouraged if they win. But no matter what happens tonight, Padres aren't back in it if they win. The season isn't over if they lose. If they obviously lose a series to the Rockies, it's a crushing blow. We were hoping for a sweep. We were certainly counting on 2 out of 3, but they are not going to win every game the rest of this season.
Yeah.
Even if they make the playoffs, they will lose another 20 games or so over these last couple of months. Even if they play incredible baseball, you can count on at least 20 more losses for the Padres. So they all can't be the end of the world. The way the Padres seem to do it, they always feel crushing. They always are agonizing. But the roller coaster that we've been on lately, are they going to buy? Are they going to sell? I'm ready to get off this ride.
Well, you got the roller coaster of the season in general. It's been excruciating to this point. And then you couple that with, hey, are we going to make moves that could potentially devastate our team for the next 3 years? Or are we going to make moves to bolster our team? No one really, really knows. And I know that there's still a contingent of fans that they watch the games every night. They look at what they see and they say, this team has no heart. They have no fight. They don't have the ability to win 4 games in a row. It'd be criminal to hang on to a Blake Snell and a Josh Hader right now. I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm definitely not disagreeing with you. Then I see the fans that say, seasons like this, going all in, how many times do you really, and the long time born and raised here Padre fans, Ben, you haven't really seen many chances like this in your lifetime. So
that's where the camp I fall in, and I think it might just be emotional.
It's emotional. Like, I want to see a run, and it's not for our job. You
can't argue the logic behind getting rid of those guys.
It's massively pragmatic. It's massively pragmatic. But you do feel then next year, right? You got Juan Soto. You don't move him this trade deadline, right? You go into next year. What if you scuffle a little bit in April? You scuffle a little bit in May, which has been known to happen. Are we on this ride again going, well, yeah, we got to trade Juan Soto. He's got to go. He's got to go at the deadline.
The problem is, what is it about me that feels this way, where the team, they haven't won more than 3 in a row.
Right.
They have shown no reason to believe that they can win more than 3 in a row.
Do they have to win more than 3 in a row to make the playoffs?
I think so.
I mean,
you got to go on some sort of run. But for whatever reason, 5 games back still doesn't feel insurmountable.
I know. It's stupid, but I feel the same way.
Sammy just sent this tweet of NL West records in July. Padres went 15-10, Dodgers 13-10, Giants 12-13, Rockies 9-13, Diamondbacks 8-16. So Padres made up 3 games on the Giants and 7.5 games on the Diamondbacks. If they duplicate in August and September, and by the way, July was not. We all know July could have been way better for the Padres than it was. But if they can just duplicate that, if the Giants keep playing the way they are, a little under 500, the Diamondbacks continue to swoon, Padres will catch both of those teams by the end of the season, just by playing the way they are. Not by winning 20 in a row, just by going 5 games above 500 the next 2 months. They will catch both of those teams. Now, that doesn't guarantee a playoff spot, but that's 2 of the teams that you need to catch right there. You're on pace already to catch those teams and pass them by the end of the season.
We have a trade, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, right before the end of the show.
The Atlanta Braves continuing to make moves. Acquiring left-hander Brad Hand from the Colorado Rockies.
Mr.
Last night, Mr. Hand. According to a source familiar with the deal, Alec Barger goes to the Rockies. So there we go. Brad Hand is an Atlanta Brave.
Threw a scoreless inning against the Padres, or a part of a scoreless inning yesterday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Kind of like the Carlos Santana trade. Couldn't have done this the day before.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Well, I guess that's one less guy the Rockies will have available to them.
Unless this
tonight.
Barger guy comes in
quickly, and they may call up someone from the minors. They'll probably have a complete contingent of people for the game tonight. But, well, we had one trade that went down during the show today. I will definitely say it was not the biggest of moves.
The Brad Hand deal. This is the show that will be remembered for breaking the Brad Hand news.
It's 1 year ago tomorrow that we were refreshing our computers every 5 seconds.
For Juan Soto.
We got the passing bomb for Juan Soto today, this year, 2023. It's the Brad Hand Day.
The Brad Hand Day. I'll never forget it. One of my more memorable days behind a microphone in San Diego.
But going back to my point, Padres 5 games above 500 in July. Could have been better, but wasn't. If they do that in August and September, they will finish, I guess, 8 games. They will finish 4 games or 8 games above 500. So 85 wins. I don't think that's quite enough, but it's close. I mean, in what they've done all season long, without the winning streak, without winning 4 in a row, they keep on what they're doing lately. They're going to get themselves awfully close. So if you then find a way to just win 1 or 2 more games after that, you probably get in the playoffs.
Yep.
Better than you did in July. Are those wins out there? Absolutely. We've counted them. How many wins are available for the Padres that they could have had, that they should have had? They're going to need a couple more of those, but they're not that far off their pace of where they need to be to catch up.
I feel like an insane person for saying this every day. I know, beat my head against the microphone. You just
Ben makes a good point. At least we can stop with the buy or sell conversation after today.
What the hell are we going to do, though?
Sandwich talk. I don't know.
I mean, the games are still important after today.
100%.
We just don't have to ride the roller coaster anymore. All right, we will be back in 4 hours. So get some rest. Get ready for a roundtable show with all the hosts at 97.3 The Fan. We will be talking a lot about a Brad Hand deal if nothing else takes place between now and then. My suspicion is we will have at least a couple of moves to discuss by 2 o'clock this afternoon. But until then, we will let the coach take over for executive producer Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins. We'll talk to you at 2 o'clock this afternoon with more right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.